It's time for Election Central 2026, the primary edition on Z94 KZOR, HobbsAmerica.com, the Z94 KZOR app, the Lea County News and Sports YouTube channel, and the Z94 KZOR Facebook page. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Lasco Construction, Moreno Premier Roofing, David Witten State Farm, and the Lea County Clerk's Office. Election Central Primary 2026 is also brought to you by J&J Rentals, IPS Incorporated, Pizza Inn, Master Plumbers, and Kinsey Plumbing. Live at Election Central alongside Ty Friend, I'm TJ Miracle. Dawn Morgan will be joining us shortly from the Lea County Courthouse as we dive in to Election Central 2026, the primary edition. Thanks for being with us tonight. Of course, we will be following all of your local races, all the local contested races, especially be keeping an eye on statewide races of note, including the gubernatorial primary in both the Democratic and Republican primaries, plus other races of note. Plus, we will have national coverage tonight from Metro Source, 24/7 News, NBC, and Fox News. And good evening, Ty Friend, as we get our coverage underway here tonight. Should be an interesting night, to say the least. Polls will still be open for about another 47 minutes, so if you have not voted yet, you do still have time to get out and cast your ballot tonight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of an exciting primary this time around, especially for Republicans, too. I mean, a lot of contested races locally. Lea County Sheriff, Magistrate Judge Division 2, Lea County Commissioner 3, and State Representative District 66. And some of those races have some incumbents that have been in office for quite a long time. Willie Henry, of course, the Magistrate Judge. He's got some strong competition. Lea County Commission seat is open, so that will be kind of a new battle going on there. State Representative will be a returning incumbent from Lovington. And then the Lea County Sheriff's Office, that is going to be a major down-to-the-wire type of race because you've got guys that have all worked in the Sheriff's Office. Some of them in the Hobbs Police Department. Kind of a bureaucratic situation. Who can I get on my side on the different divisions there of the in terms of enforcement, but at the same time, the voters are going to decide who the head honcho is going to be in Lea County, and lots of people are going to be kind of waiting to see how that goes down to the wire. But that governor's both the primaries will be pretty exciting as well. You take a look at the Republicans and the Democrats in the state, and some record amount of money being spent on the Democratic side, especially with Deb Haaland and, of course, Sam Bregman. And they broke a record in terms of how much money they're putting out for that big race. And that's just to get into the November election. They have a Republican to worry about, too.
Yeah, tonight is just the primaries. Will determine who the Republican and who the Democratic candidates are come general election time in November. Polling places are open across Lea County until 7 o'clock tonight. And remember, in Lea County, there is no wrong place to vote. So it doesn't matter where you live, you can vote at any of the voting convenience centers. And they are the Caprock Community Hall in Caprock, the Eunice Community Center in Eunice, the Hobbs City Hall Annex, I should say, right there next to City Hall in downtown, the Hobbs Schools Training Facility out on Sanger, the Hobbs Teen Center, 620 West Alto, also the Jowl City Hall in Jowl, the Lea County Office Complex, which is actually where I voted early, over on East Bender, the Lea County Courthouse on Main Street in Lovington, also at the Lea County Road Department here in Hobbs, the Lovington Schools Central Office on West Central. I think that's actually on West Washington. The Maljamar Community Hall, the Monument Community Center, the Norley Hospital Annex at the hospital in Lovington, Tatum City Hall, the Core here in Hobbs, and the Yucca Building on the Lea County Fairgrounds. So plenty of places to vote. You've got no excuses to not get out and cast your ballot. Interesting, we're talking about this now. Of course, polls open till 7 o'clock, and if you're in line at 7, you will be allowed to vote. Lea County, of the 33 counties in New Mexico, has one of the, if not the lowest voter turnout per capita and per registered voters in the state, and that's a little bit shocking.
Yeah, and I think it has a lot of attribute to the blue-collar ethic down here. A lot of people working out in the oil fields especially don't get a lot of time to come into town. You're out there working on the rigs. That's kind of an issue that we've had to deal with over the years. But I think one big wrinkle to that, of course, with this year being a primary election, you can actually vote as an independent or no party participant. That means you can vote in either the Democrat or Republican primary. We have got 29% of our registered voters in that situation right now, which is second behind the Republicans. So that kind of adds another dimension here, not just in Lea County, but the state of New Mexico. And there have been a lot of campaigns, including Bregman for governor, that's trying to kind of woo those independent voters to his side on the Democrat side ticket. So that's an opportunity. I'm an independent. I had a chance to do that this past election here, just on Saturday. I think you voted there at the annex. That's where I was too. But again, that opens up the door for a lot more people getting involved in the election. Right now, early voting in terms of the independents, 18,402 people voted early in the state of New Mexico. Of course, the Democrats dominated. 77% were Democratic early ballots, but that's not what the very last ones that came in Saturday. But still, independent voters, you're kind of deciding, well, I don't really care about this race or that race, but you want to vote on the locals, you still have that opportunity to get involved, especially on the Republican side, I guess, here in Lea County, because there's not really anything contested Democrat except at the state level.
No, there is not. And the Lea County clerk's office and Carrie Sandoval done something kind of cool. They've put up a new they call it their clerk's command center, where you can follow the voting pretty much in real time. Now they're getting this from the voting machines, and of course early and absentee ballots were counted before, but as of 18 minutes ago at 6 o'clock this evening, only 13.8% of Lea County's registered voters have voted. So 2,300 plus 2,315 early voting. Right now, 2,792, as of 18 minutes ago, and 336 absentee. That is just an abysmal voter turnout, especially when you've got contested county races. And you mentioned it on the Republican side. Really, the winner of most of those Republican primaries is going to go right into that office come November.
Yeah, they're also blowing their wad on the primary. So if they would happen to get some type of write-in situation or whatever, that not as hard to win those elections. But yeah, all the money they're being spent is in the primary elections you mentioned. Should also say too, though, at the state level, the Democrats have broken the last two cycles of early voting back to 22 and 24. In 26 this year, 106,891 early ballots for Democrats in New Mexico compared to 70 and 73,000 the last two cycles in the primary. So Democrats really got out to vote, but I guess you can go back and look at the who's running, especially on that governor's ticket, a very hot one, Holland and Bregman going head to head. So that kind of attracted some people early. And then also Republicans in the state, 31% had early ballots at this point. So again, you mentioned the low numbers here in Lea County. You would think that you would get a lot more draw with the names that were out there this year. We got some good contested races and some good battles going on. Again, I'm really excited to see how the results finish up for that sheriff's race, the court race that we have going on for judge, and also the district county commissioner as well, and then also the state representative. We got some people that have economic backgrounds. We got some people that are just kind of the people type of defenders out there with the issues. The incumbents are loaded up too and ready to go. So again, we got some time to get people to vote. If you're independent, get out there. You can do your decision on which side you want to go down with. And some people like to jump the parties of primary to primary. That only came into being last year, is when the actual law came into effect here in New Mexico to give you an opportunity to get involved with these primaries.
Well, it will, and I think, and you and I have talked about this in the past, and so we took over for Paul Starr and the late Gary Don Reagan. What about 4, 5, 8, 10 cycles ago, whatever it's been, but. We've talked about that a lot of times, and you're a registered independent, you hadn't been able to vote in the primaries, and there may be, candidates that you wanted to support and you haven't had an opportunity to do that. I think that's a good change for here in New Mexico.
And you keep repeating this over and over again, too. These are races that are deciding the winner tonight. I mean, so your sheriff, your representative, your commissioner,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, give me a break. I mean, that basically tells you as a voter, you're not going to get to vote. You could have used to switch over and just, sign up for the other party a few, month or so before the election. But now, just like I did Saturday, right up to the polling place, said, which ballot do you want? They actually ask you that question now, which is a little bit different than before. You just tell them, and right there, you're not filling out an application form, switching the party like the form you used to do. But you get that opportunity right there and then. And again, I wasn't even showing driver's license this time.
Yeah, it's been very easy to vote, and hats off again to the Lea County Clerk's office and the things they've done that have made it, I think, easier to vote. And there's a lot of talk nationally about, we got to do this and we got to do that. Really, voting is important, and if you're a citizen, and I am in that camp that you do need to be a citizen to vote. That is the law, by the way, that yeah, you should be allowed to do that without too much trouble, and really very easy here in Lee County. Another race that we haven't touched on, and it includes a Lee County resident, and that's lieutenant governor. Now, it'll be a yoked ticket come November, but both parties elect a gubernatorial candidate and a lieutenant governor candidate separately, and then they're yoked come the primaries. And Senator David Gallegos is running for that lieutenant governor post against two other Republicans in that primary tonight, Manny Lardzabal and Aubrey Dunn. And really haven't heard much from one of those candidates, but Dunn and Gallegos have really kind of been going at it really since the drop of the hat in the Lee County pre-primary convention.
That's right. And of course, Gallegos right next door here in Lea County. He definitely has moved himself up in the echelon of the legislature, now in the Senate, and really fighting for some of those hardcore issues we see in Lea County in terms of getting funding down here in the state representation, in terms of all the royalties and money that we send up there to the Santa Fe legislature in terms of Lea County. He's really fought hard on that. Now, of course, as a lieutenant governor, you're going to have to kind of balance your arguments a little bit because you're representing the whole state at that point. Also, remember years ago, Diane Dennis was a lieutenant governor here for New Mexico on the Democratic side, and she served a couple of terms there up in New Mexico, up in the Santa Fe offices there. So, again, we've had a little bit of a background with people that have been having the ability to represent us at the state level. And again, politics have to change a little bit, especially if you're going to get into the lieutenant governor office as a Republican. You're going to have to listen to some Santa Fe people, some Albuquerque people, predominant Democrat, of course. And Mr. Gallegos is not a type of guy to bite his tongue. And I think you're going to see that even if he does happen to get in that position with the ticket that he has right now, which is not anybody up for sure yet who he's going to be working with in that governorship position in the election in November. You got Greg Hall, Doug Turner, and Duke Rodriguez. All three of those guys have a nice business background. One was a mayor, of course, Greg Hall, Doug Turner, a businessman, and also Duke Rodriguez, too. And that's some real cool stories behind all three of those guys. But I'm sure Gallegos at this point doesn't really matter who he's running with. He just wants an opportunity to win this primary first.
Well, and that's what you got to do. It's win and you are in, at least for the general election. 6:24, so you've still got 36 minutes to get in line to vote. We've got that complete list on our Facebook page at Z94KZOR, so you can check that out. Again, it does not matter if you live in Jal and you're working up around Tatum, you can vote in Tatum. If you live in Lovington, but you're down in Eunice today, you can vote in Eunice. If you're from Lovington and you're in Hobbs, you can vote in Hobbs. Any of those voting convenience centers, it is fine to vote at. I actually had to do that a couple of years ago during the general. I was doing something in Jal, of all places, probably working on something on the gym for sports stuff, and was like, I got to go vote. So I ran over to the Jal City Hall and voted right there, and I live in Hobbs. So
you could have brought the ballots back, too, when they bring it back up to the Lovington for the final count.
It was a little earlier in the day than that, so I'm not sure I'm qualified to do that. I'm not sure I'm qualified to sit here and do this, but they let me do it anyway. And so 6:25, we'll take a quick timeout, come back, and continue. Election Central is on Z94KZOR, the Z94KZOR Facebook page, HobbsAmerica.com, and also on the Lee County News and Sports YouTube channel.
Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026 is Election Day, and the voting convenience centers in Tatum, Lovington, Hobbs, Eunice, and Jal are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Remember, with voting convenience centers, there is no wrong place to vote. Tuesday, June 2nd is Election Day. Make sure to exercise your right and go vote. For voting information, please contact the Lee County Clerk's Office, 396-8619, or go online at leecounty.gov. If you care about Lee County and the future of your kids, please go vote. This message brought to you by the Lee County Clerk's Office.
Hi, I'm Mark Rhodes. I'm running for Lee County Sheriff. Growing up in Lee County, I've spent my career holding people accountable, verifying results, and protecting our communities, serving in both law enforcement and the private sector. I learned that trust is built through accountability. You deserve a leader with high standards because that is how we build a safe community. Let's build a safer Lee County. Safe at home, safe at work, safe raising your family. RhodesForSheriff.com.
Paid for by the committee to elect Mark Rhodes for sheriff.
Western States Insurance.
Why choose Western States Insurance as your independent insurance agent? Because Western States Insurance is more than an insurance agency. They're a people agency dedicated to the insurance needs of their customers. Western States Insurance is large enough to provide the products you demand and small enough to offer you personal service.
We Western States Insurance.
Call 396-1318 or go by 212 North Love in Lovington.
Lucky Services is hiring rig mechanics. Lucky Services pays top wages and offers monthly bonuses, plus health benefits. A guaranteed 40-hour work week with a top-tier service company. Come over and work for Lucky Services in Hobbs. Rig mechanics apply right now, in person at Lucky Services on the Lovington Highway, or call the office 392-1547. That's 392-1547. Again, 392-1547. All rig mechanics apply today. Lucky Services is an equal opportunity employer.
Did you hear? Allstate car insurance now costs even less. So when you bundle with home, you can save even more. Check Allstate first to bundle and save with a new lower auto rate. You're in good hands with Allstate. Not available in every state. Only applicable for new auto insurance business. Rates will vary by several factors, including how you purchase the policy. Potential savings may vary. Allstate North American Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Relentless in the face of every challenge, American men provide for, teach, and lead the way for the next generation. Fathers, tradesmen, and working cowboys. These are the men who build our nation and leave a legacy that endures. They are the faces of American grit, and above all else, they are fathers. This Father's Day, visit your local Boot Barn to find a gift worthy of their grit. Boot Barn. Unwrap the West.
Lee County weather.
Scattered showers and storms across the area this afternoon, overnight into tomorrow, a 90% chance of more Wednesday rain and storms. And looking for a low tonight of 61. Tomorrow it's going to be cooler, still humid, 81 for tomorrow's high. And then showers and storms likely continue Wednesday night, Thursday, and maybe into the weekend.
KZOR.
And welcome back to Election Central 2026, the primary edition on Z94 KZOR, HobbsAmerica.com. Also on the Lea County News and Sports YouTube channel and the Z94 KZOR YouTube channel. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Pizza Inn, Kinsey Plumbing, IPS Incorporated, J&J Rentals, and Master Plumbers. Election Central Primary 2026, also a presentation of the Lea County Clerk's Office, State Farm Agent David Witten, Moreno Premier Roofing, and Lasco Construction. With Ty Friend, I'm TJ Miracle at Election Central. Dawn Morgan will be checking in from the courthouse here in just a little while. National news tonight provided by Fox News and News 24/7 NBC News. As we return to our pre-coverage, I guess you could call it, as we prepare for the polls to close in 30 minutes. Don't forget, you can still get out and vote at any of those 16 voting convenience centers scattered around Lea County. There will be some place that is convenient for you. They include the Yucca Building at the Fairgrounds, the Core on the Lovington Highway, Tatum City Hall, the Norley Hospital Annex at the hospital in Lovington, the Monument Community Center, the Maljamar Community Hall, the Lovington Schools Central Office in downtown Lovington, the Lea County Road Department offices on the Lovington Highway in Hobbs, the Caprock Community Center, the Eunice Community Center, Hobbs City Hall, the Hobbs Schools Training Facility on East Sanger, the Hobbs Teen Center on West Alto, Jowell City Hall, the Lea County Annex Office Complex on Bender in Hobbs, and also at the Lea County Courthouse, where Dawn Morgan will be checking in live here shortly. So back to our coverage, and of course, really keeping an eye tonight on the Lea County races. And, you know, we've touched on some of them, but we do have, you know, some that they haven't really gotten nasty too much in the local races, but we do have some contested ones to talk about and that are of note. And, well, I say they haven't gotten nasty. At times it's been a little bit, we'll say, contentious for the sheriff's race, with three guys running to succeed Corey Helton, who will, of course, be terming out after 8 years, and John Martinez, Mark Rhodes, and Michael Thomas all running for that seat.
Yeah, and you look at their experience, too. Michael Thomas, 17 years in law enforcement. John Martinez, 33 years. Mark Rhodes, 21 years. Sprinkling of sheriff office time and also Hobbs Police Department. Some leadership in some cases with John Martinez in terms of he was in the Air Force. He was a command level leader, also an officer as well. Michael Thomas, he had 17 years in as a Marine policeman, also Hobbs Police Department, 5 years as a sergeant. Mark Rhodes, probably the most decorated in terms of leadership, 21 years in HPD, a captain of criminal investigations and a SWAT commander. And he has retired. He's been out for about 19 years or so and done some other things since then, including being a security at Urinco in charge of that. But all these guys, of course, when you have just like in the military, the Marines, Air Force, a couple of these guys served, and I was there as well. People are trying to move up in the ranks. And so they're trying to get people underneath them, supporting in this election situation. You've seen that on Facebook. It hasn't gotten really ugly. I think that might be what you're touching on there, but it hasn't got to the point. There has been some mudslinging, personal stuff on personal websites or Facebook.
Yeah, the candidates themselves, for the most part, have kept it pretty clean. Don't get me started and don't get me on a rant tonight on social media and it's, let's just say, influences on potential things. Anybody can be a keyboard warrior, but standing up and throwing yourself out there is a tough thing and much appreciated, even for the people who don't win. Also, the Lee County Commissioners race, worth keeping an eye on for District 3, with Brian Pointer, Jennifer Grassam, and Jeff Lee all seeking that seat to succeed the outgoing commissioner there,
Gary Eidson, of course.
Gary Eidson, thank you.
Yeah, I always mispronounce his name, and I've known him for years, and his wife and everything, but it's kind of a good contrast in that race, too. I mean, you have somebody that's kind of been in the economic side of it. Jennifer Gresham, president CEO of Economic Development Corporation, was also part of J.F. Maddox for a while as well. She's got more of the economic side experience, but Brian Pointer, a member of the Lee County Fair Board, which is heavy duty into the commissioner side of things. A lot of our budgeting and things of that nature, looking at the Lee County Fair and Rodeo, which is always a big discussion and meetings and things of that nature. And then Jeff Lee, former military veteran. He's lived here since Hobbs High, 1983 graduate, worked in the oil field. So he's not the one that has all the big economic background that Gresham has, but offers another contrast too in terms of somebody that's going to represent some people in terms of road improvements and staffing in the sheriff's office. So that's going to split the vote three ways, though. And I know the Republican Party kind of loves to have people running, but when it comes down to primaries, they're probably happy might not have any competition in the regular general election. But it's not always fun to be involved in these races because do you speak out for one candidate? Do you not? I noticed in the governorship race, our current governor Grisham has decided not to sponsor or support either one of the candidates on the Democrat side with Deb Haaland, and of course her opponent in that race in terms of the Sam Bregman. So she doesn't want to get involved in it because it's hurtful up there at the top as it is here in the Lee County area. So yeah, some of these races kind of hard as Republicans but it's nice to have some contrast and decisions on people that you want to support. And that's why independents are important too, because these people represent them as well, and they have a part to play in who they want to represent, especially when it comes to policing our county, like a sheriff would be. Have you noticed, TJ, this time? I noticed some of these sheriffs are kind of having a vice candidate with them. They're announcing another guy in the department that it's not really an official, lieutenant governor, but I've noticed at least two of the candidates have done that, and one of them includes Helton is running alongside, technically running alongside. It's not required, but he's doing that with Mark Rhodes.
Yeah, naming their under sheriffs before they potentially take office has become I've noticed it more in other places around New Mexico as we travel around for sports and things. Really, probably in the last 4 years, maybe have we really started kind of seeing that. And a lot of times it has been the former sheriff with kind of their anointed successor, if you will. And I'm not saying that's, that there's anything wrong with that. That they've started running. It's like, hey, this guy's going to be sheriff, but I'm still going to be around too, especially if it's a popular sheriff who's won by landslides several times. Of course, sheriff is term limited in the state of New Mexico to 2 4-year terms. So it's become something that you've seen more and more. And I think partially, and this is me putting the political scientist hat on, I got it out and dusted it off this morning, but I think a lot of it is saying, hey, even though there's going to be somebody new at the top, there is still going to be continuity in the office. And for a lot of people, I think that's very important.
I think I noticed all the candidates have talked about this, not saying one want to do a better job than the other in this area, but PR has been an issue. And I know sheriff's departments, policing, they're doing their job. They're putting their lives on the line 24/7, basically. And it's hard to make decisions, when you have a gun up to you and somebody get ready to shoot it, worry about headlines the next day. But they've had some stuff going on in the background and some other headlines that come out. And that's one thing that these candidates have talked about is we got to get a hold of this PR and making sure things look right from the beginning. I know some of them even called for different committees, accountability committees, except a lot of departments have that already, but really watching how things look to the public. I've seen some bad video coming, not from our departments, but from other places where people are doing crazy stuff as they're arresting people on camera and making fun of the people they have handcuffs on, and people get, everybody's videoing stuff nowadays.
Yeah,
you got to be careful.
Everybody has a movie production studio in their pocket now, pretty much. It's one of those things that really, especially that everyone, but especially law enforcement or elected officials, I think are not completely clued into yet that, hey, wait a minute, anything I do is now going to be on camera and is going to be thrown out on social media. Now, whether or not that it's, raw video and you can decide for yourself, or especially with AI and video editing software, you can make anything look awful or real fast. And you've got to be aware of the professionalism that you put out there. Doesn't matter what position that you're in, but especially for law enforcement, because we are living, I think, unfortunately right now in a time where there is a lot of distrust of law enforcement, be it accurate or not. I don't think that we've got bad police agencies or anything here in Lea County, but you do need to be aware that everything is out there now, and especially with social media and with AI and with everything that can be done, even a minor slip up. And this is just, unfortunately, it's one more thing that we all have to worry about now. One minor slip up can come back and haunt you, even if it comes out that really you did nothing wrong in the end.
I think that's something they cover in police academy now too. Just the ethical side of things, which has always been part of it. When you make a decision to arrest somebody or get them ready for an arrest, how you treat people, whatever, but also the public relations side of it. If you have a reporter there, what do you do? If you have, off the cuff comments are going to get used against you and can be brought into court too about what your bias might be. Bias tends to be a big deal too with this. And I know it's something that's not the most important thing that voters are thinking about. They don't want to see headlines like that, but at the same time, they want to see some security. They want to see people put in jail that need to be, but they also want to make sure that we got people behind the scenes. If my family member's arrested, how are they going to be treated? And everything's serious on that spot, because we're talking law here. We're not talking, it's time to put something on a video.
Right. And, the law is the law. And these men and women, they do enforce it. I know some of, and we'll get more into this after the polls close. And actually, I think we will wait and get into some more of that with the sheriff's office after the polls close. It is 6:40, so 20 minutes remaining to vote. If you are in line, you are allowed to vote. So get in line at any of those voting convenience centers around Lea County. Again, those are at the Caprock Community Hall, the Eunice Community Center, the Hobbs City Hall, the Hobbs Schools Training Facility, the Hobbs Teen Center, the Lea County Annex Office Complex, also at the Lea County Courthouse, Jowl City Hall, the Lea County Road Department offices in Hobbs, the Lovington Schools Central Office, the Maljamar Community Hall, the Monument Community Center, the Norley Hospital Annex at the hospital, the main campus in Lovington, Tatum City Hall, the Core, and the Yucca Building on the fairgrounds in Lovington. So still 20 minutes to get out and vote. We will take a timeout, come back, and continue. Election Central from Z94 KZOR continues in a moment.
Buying stuff today can be kind of complicated. Scanning a QR code to order lunch, providing your email address to buy a tank top, entering your birthday to order a burrito. Come on. But thanks to Excel Energy, you can buy LED lighting and save instantly without jumping through any hoops. No nonsense. Just instant savings. See how much you can save on Excel Energy's selection of LED bulbs with instant rebates. Learn more at excelenergy.com/lighting deals.
Attention shoppers. Bob's Thriftway welcomes you to Lovington, New Mexico. This week, you'll save big on grocery items throughout their store. Save big on produce, household items, bread products, and meats. Every week, Bob's Thriftway has big savings for their customers. Bob's Thriftway is your local hometown grocery store. So for the freshest produce, the best meats, Shop Bob's Thriftway, 906 West Avenue D in Lovington.
The American Heart Association wants you to know high blood pressure often has no warning signs. It's the silent killer, quietly damaging your body over time. Nearly half of adults in the United States have high blood pressure, and many don't know they're at risk. The good news? You can take control, know your numbers, get your blood pressure checked, and simple changes like eating healthier and moving more can help you live longer and lower your risk of heart disease and stroke. More at heart.org/high blood pressure.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carton. Polls will be closing soon in a few of the 6 states holding primaries today. In California, the race for governor and Los Angeles mayor are in the national spotlight. That's because 2 Republicans have made some inroads in the reliably blue state. Fox News contributor Steve Hilton for governor and reality TV star Spencer Pratt for mayor. More from NBC's Liz Kreutz.
Pratt, who is a registered Republican but running with no party affiliation, entered the race after losing his home in the Palisades fire last year. He's trying to unseat incumbent Democratic Mayor Karen Bass, who faced intense criticism for her handling of that disaster.
Elsewhere, Democrats in Iowa are looking for the best candidate they hope will fill the seat being vacated by retiring Republican Senator Joni Ernst in November. President Trump says reports claiming talks have broken down with Iran are false and erroneous. Chris Carragio has details.
His comments follow reporting from Iranian state media on Monday that Tehran would stop exchanging messages with the U.S. through intermediaries over accusations of a ceasefire violation. However, the president's post asserted that conversations have been going on continuously.
And he added it's time for Iran to make a deal. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer isn't saying if he stands by embattled U.S. Senate Democrat candidate Graham Plattner, who's widely expected to win his primary in Maine and face incumbent Republican Senator Susan Collins. But Plattner has faced several controversies, including a chest tattoo that resembles a Nazi symbol. Most recently, reports he engaged in extramarital sexting on a controversial dating app. Plattner met with Schumer and other top Democrats on Tuesday. After the meeting, Schumer was asked repeatedly if he stands with Plattner, but would only reply, "We're going to beat Susan Collins and take back the Senate," over and over again. And the Carolina Hurricanes will host the Vegas Golden Knights for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight in Raleigh. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
Z94 KZOR.
Welcome back to Election Central 2026, the primary edition on Z94 KZOR, HobbsAmerica.com, the Z94 KZOR Facebook page, and also on the Lea County News and Sports YouTube channel and the Z94 KZOR YouTube channel. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Lasco Construction, Moreno Premier Roofing, David Witten State Farm Insurance, and the Lea County Clerk's Office. Election Central also brought to you by J&J Rentals, Master Plumbers, IPS Incorporated, Pizza Inn, and Kinsey Plumbing. I'm TJ Miracle alongside Ty Friend in Election Central, also known as the Z94 KZOR studios. Dawn Morgan setting up and preparing out at the Lea County Courthouse, where we will have the latest numbers as soon as they come in. We'll be checking in with Dawn here in just a few minutes. So welcome back. It is 6:45. You still have 15 minutes to get out and vote and make your voice heard. Again, there are convenience centers all over Lea County, and you can vote at any of them. It does not matter where you live. Any of those voting convenience centers are available to you to cast your ballot. So as we continue on, in addition to our local races tonight, we talked a little bit about sheriff. We talked a little bit, too, about the Lea County Commission race, and probate judge, another one that is going to be contested as incumbent Sandra Goad running against businesswoman Vivian Flemons for that position. Sandy, of course, has been the probate judge for the last 8 years, and Vivian looking to unseat her in that one. It's those two will go at it. We'll be following that race closely tonight. Another one is Magistrate Judge Division 2. The incumbent is Willie Henry running against Sharon Payne, who was a longtime member of his office staff, and also Joanne Zaragoza Miller. Now, another set of contested races really keeping an eye on, plus that State Representative District 66, which has just a tiny, tiny, tiny little portion of Lee County in it, where Leanne Gandy, former superintendent of Lovington Schools, running in that against Trinidad Malone and Dan Lewis. And again, that's mostly an Eddy County district, but just a tiny little portion of Lee County in that one too.
Yeah, those two guys going up against Leanne, of course, from Lovington, former teacher, educator, Trinidad Malone and Dan Lewis, both out of Artesia. So the Bulldogs going head to head with the chains on there. Trinidad's an Artesia businessman, and Dan Lewis worked for the that big family over there. What was the Yates family?
Yates.
Yeah. If I was an Artesian fumble that, I'd be in big trouble.
Yeah, there's Yates and Mack. If you just say one of them, chances you got a 50-50 shot of being right.
Yeah, he
big families.
Yeah, I know he was an accountant and worked with their grants program over there. I know him. But again, Leanne Gandy in Lovington. So Lee County does have some representation in terms of somebody running from this area. Go back to that magistrate judgeship for just a second. I know you mentioned that, but yeah, you were talking about them being in the same office for a while. Willie Henry started off as a bailiff, and since then he won his election back in 2010, then beat Lemma White too, who had been in office for a while by a 65% vote in 2014. So he's been in that office for 16 years now. He used to be a bailiff for Judge Philip Klingman, learned from one of the best in Lee County and that judgeship there. And then, as you mentioned, Sharon Payne, a court manager since 1997, 28 years in that office, going around the state too. When they had a problem with keeping people staffed in different clerk's offices around the state, she was jumping around to Taos, Roswell, Carlsbad. So she's run a real tough campaign for Willie. He's, of course, both those people know what they're doing. They've been in the courtroom a long time and learned the hard way. They went up through the ropes. It wasn't just handed it to them. And then Joanne Zaragoza Miller, she, of course, Allstate insurance agent owner since 2015. So trying to get herself in there. And again, with some of these court jobs, you don't have to have a law degree or been to law school or, have a major, minor in law or anything like that. I mean, you just run for the election. You get a lot of training once you do get the job. So, I mean, you don't have to be a judge for 16 years or a court clerk for 16 years or a bailiff. In her case, she's just going to try to, get on the judgeship and learn the ropes just like these other two did.
Well, and that's important to point out with magistrate judge. It is one of the few judgeships where you don't have to be an attorney first and go up through the ranks. That way, our very own Jimmy Jones is magistrate judge, of course, down in Eunice. His district includes part of Hobbs, too. He was the police chief in Eunice, doesn't have a law degree, and even he said, he trains all the time. And there's a lot of times I'll go, Jimmy, no, and start pulling my hair out when he's like, oh, I've got to be in Santa Fe to do some training, and I can't go to do that ball game tonight. It's like, Jimmy, no, but no, he works it out. But yeah, that is an important distinction on that magistrate judge's position. Doesn't matter, which one it is that you do not have to be an attorney. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to hold that position.
And I would say it'd be a very tough job. I mean, a lot of people in Lake County, and then you got them coming through your courtroom. You got to make decisions. I mean, can I rule on this case? Can I not rule on this case? I mean, very tough because, let's face it, small communities, people know each other, might not be, best friends or whatever, but at the same time, just knowing a person's family or a son, daughter, cousin, whatever it might be, could change your a possible view of a court case in some cases. And these judges have to always be cognizant of that, being able to step down when they need to. And so that's just one part of the judge process, just the magistrate division there. But good to see some strong quality candidates in there. I know Willie's had some unopposed races over the last few years, but again, this is really putting him on the spot here on this one. And I think the voters are going to make a decision on this. And I think any of those three good quality people getting a chance to represent us on the bench, I don't think we're going to be missing out on any of those getting to that position.
No, I think, whatever the choice is on that Lee County will choose wisely to do that. We've also got U.S. Representative District 2, which for years included the city of Hobbs. Now it does not. Don't get me started on that one either, where Gabe Vasquez, the incumbent, is running unopposed. Not a huge shock on the Democratic side of things, as Greg Cunningham and Jose Orozco are running to oppose him on the November ballot. So especially for Southern Lee County, that's going to be an important one to watch. And it's already pretty much set up. Teresa Ledger Fernandez and Martin Zamora will be facing off against each other for District 3, which does now include Northern Lee County come November, in the very interesting redistricting that happened about 10 years ago. Be interesting to see what they come up with when they have to redo that. I thought the Supreme Court had said they had to redo it, and they just haven't yet.
I know since all this stuff's been happening, my text messages coming from every single candidate out of New Mexico, it seems like, has been loading up my text messages lately with all these candidates that you never thought of before. Now you might be a part of their district, or they don't even know if you're in your district, but they got your phone number somehow. I mean, it seems like every other text message is coming from a candidate. Are you planning on voting? And what is the main issue? One day before the election, I think probably already made my mind up.
Could you send me some money?
Yeah, to pay my debt off.
I've gotten a few of those too. So.
Yeah.
That's just.
I wasn't directing that at her, by the way. I just was saying.
No, it's not. It's pretty much all of them on that particular one. But the races I think some of them will be coming down to the wire. I know I was looking earlier as we kind of shift our attention back over to the gubernatorial race on the Democratic side. While the major networks and news organizations can't call it, so to speak, until the polls close and the votes start coming in. Really, I think everyone I saw had said, yeah, if Deb Haaland doesn't win the Democratic nomination, it will be a Truman-esque upset. And I think that's kind of how a lot of, and I've talked off the record to some people on both sides of the aisle, and they really kind of think that deck was a little bit stacked for Haaland to begin with. And Bregman's kind of being the good soldier and going out there and making it look opposed.
Yeah. I mean, that's one way to look at it. It's kind of like the establishment versus the Chihuahua nipping at the heels. But Bregman is not a small dog. I mean, he's a district attorney. He's been appointed to that position years ago with the governor that put him in there. I mean, he is a Democrat. He's definitely making Haaland speak up for the issues. She's dropped out of some debates, hasn't agreed to some debates. He's continued to pull home a lot on that. He's made a lot of shots on her. I mean, a lot of video coverage of her being in committee meetings when she was Interior Secretary, not answering questions directly. I mean, he's got a ton of those videos going out. Also talking about the Epstein flight, et cetera. I mean, that's just one thing after another in the campaign that's been going on. And so he really wants the position, but the fundraising has been completely in the pocket of Haaland. In one figure, they've spent about $13+ million, which has broken a record for primary campaigns in New Mexico. So big money there, but 90% of that's coming from Haaland, $11.1 million compared to $3.7 million as through about mid-May. So she definitely has a lot of her money coming from out of state. In fact, the former New York mayor had actually contributed to her campaign as well, just to put out one there. But she definitely has a background. She's a U.S. representative from New Mexico, was also the Interior Secretary, first Native American woman to be put in that type of role as a head person in that situation. So she knows Washington. She knows some of the rules and laws that affect our state. I know the big debate is whether Bregman can attract some independent voters to help him win this primary. I mean, the deck is stacked against him in terms of the money and the advertising, things of that nature. But he is not one to go down easy. I mean, he's down to the mat fighting with the issues and bringing up a lot of things and talking about term limits for state legislators and things of that nature. So, and I know it also had somebody local that we've from the past too. I know Ray Birmingham, baseball coach there, former UNM. He's been a major campaigner for him and putting out a lot of the campaign materials, the videos, etc. So that really put him in the media.
And if the Bregman name sounds familiar, it's because he is the father of Alex Bregman, now on the Cubs. So.
Yeah. And he did not play for Ray Birmingham, by the way.
No, he was
not. He was a bat boy for Birmingham, and then Birmingham was also his assistant coach when he played the college all-star game or team that played in some international competition. So Bregman actually himself, the father that's running, did play I think less than a year for UNM Lobo baseball, but didn't pan out the way he wanted to. But that just kind of going off the track there. But
we're sports still, guys. It's expected.
But I mean, Bregman, he does play for the Cubs. He's a third baseman there. But still, I just think that I don't know if that was your theory about them, he was a plant. I don't know exactly if I would agree 100% with that, because I mean, he's really taken some shots at Haaland that I think is going to be used in the general campaign when it comes up, when we find out which of the three Republicans will be in that. And that's another one that's been going kind of I don't think as bad as what we could see in the Democrat side, but I know Duke Rodriguez is really pushing hard and taking some shots as best he can. He thinks he's the best person to face Haaland in the regular election. He calls himself the kryptonite of Haaland. And remember he was a whistleblower back in the days too, when Loveless, he used to run Loveless as a chief financial officer, and he said they bit of money for Medicaid and there was a lawsuit filed. He got $500,000 out of that lawsuit. The state got back $2 million on unfair Medicaid billings that came through Loveless, and he came back and testified in that case. And then he was put on as a human services agency director in New Mexico. The governor gave him that position after that. So gave him a lot of credit. That was Governor Johnson, by the way, that did that and said, hey, if you can stick up for the public and taxpayer money, I know it's kind of political. I mean, to be in a hearing and things like that, but I'm going to put you in this Human Services Department chairmanship, and you'll take care of that. And he did go on to do some Medicaid legislation and actually some rules for Medicaid after that to kind of clean things up a little bit. But he actually owns a medical cannabis company right now, and he's that's one of the things he does. And he has a couple of houses around the world that's been under question in terms of him being
a resident,
New Mexico resident.
We'll talk more about that as it's 2 minutes until 7 o'clock. Still time to get in line and vote. We'll be back right after this to continue Election Central on Z94 KZOR Hobbs.
Fox News, I'm Tom Graham. The Trump administration halting a plan to create a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund supporters say was aimed at compensating those over-prosecuted during the Biden era. Justice Department Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche.
The reasons for the fund, I think, it remain as important as they were before, but we are not moving forward with the fund.
Democrats accused President Trump of attempting to create a slush fund for his supporters. A popular weight loss drug will soon be more accessible to Medicare patients.
GLP-1 weight loss drugs will be available for Medicare patients for $50 a month beginning July 1st. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz says the weight loss drugs prescribed by doctors can help lower downstream conditions connected to obesity.
Fox's Jared Halpern, America's listening to Fox News.
Did you know that Lea County State Bank drive-up lanes are open late? Interactive tellers give you convenient, extended drive-through hours Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Lea County State Bank ITMs feature a screen which connects you to a live teller inside the bank to assist you with your banking transactions. No need to rush to the bank with Lea County State Bank's extended ITM drive-through lanes conveniently located near you in Lovington, Hobbs, and Eunice. Lea County State Bank, member FDIC.
Lea County is powering the future, and you're invited to see it up close. Tuesday, June the 9th, the EnergyPlex Conference takes over the Lea County Event Center, hosted by the Lea County Economic Development Corporation. From oil and gas to renewables and everything in between, this is your chance to get an inside look at the industries driving New Mexico's energy innovation. And the best part, it's totally free and open to the public. Grab a friend, bring your curiosity, and head to energyplexconference.org for details and registration. Be there June the 9th and see where energy meets opportunity.
First American Bank believes success comes from building personal, long-lasting relationships that are built on mutual trust. We take a consultative-driven approach to get to know you and your business. We offer a wide array of banking and digital solutions, plus more than a century of local experience. So, with First American Bank as your trusted partner, when you succeed, we do too. Find out how we can get it done for you. First American Bank, local first since 1903. Member FDIC.
Get ready to move, compete, and make a difference. The first ever Move Your Way Pickleball Tournament and 3K Walk Run is Saturday, June 6th at the Del Norte Pickleball Courts in Hobbs. Fun and competitive pickleball tournament, a 3K walk or run, great energy, and something for the whole family. With multiple divisions, players of different skill levels can join the action and compete for prizes, bragging rights, and community pride. Not playing? Just cheer on your teams and enjoy the atmosphere and grab a bite from local food vendors. Most importantly, every registration and sponsorship helps raise money for the Adaptive program here in Lea County, supporting opportunities, inclusion, and resources for individuals of all abilities. Whether you walk, run, play, volunteer, or sponsor, you could be part of something special. It's happening this Saturday, June 6th. Come Move Your Way Pickleball Tournament and 3K Walk Run. For more info, contact Brittany Embry at campaign@uwolc.org and follow United Way of Lea County on social media. Paid for by the City of Hobbs Lodgers Tax.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-2013 or biglou.com.
Welcome to Election Central 2026, the primary edition on Z94 KZOR Hobbs, the Z94 KZOR app, hobbsamerica.com, the Z94 KZOR Facebook page, also the Z94 KZOR YouTube channel, and the Lea County News and Sports YouTube channel. Tonight's coverage is presented by Kinsey Plumbing, Pizza Inn, IPS Incorporated, Master Plumbers, and J&J Rentals. Election Central on Z94 also brought to you by the Lea County Clerk's Office, State Farm Insurance, David Witten, Moreno Premier Roofing, and Lasco Construction. Alongside Ty Friend, I'm TJ Miracle inside Election Central. Dawn Morgan at the Lea County Courthouse will be checking in with her here in just a few moments. As we hit 3 minutes after 7 o'clock, the polls are now officially closed, as the voting will begin tallying pretty quickly. Normally, the clerk's office has our early and absentee very, very quickly. Probably within 45 minutes or so, we should have the first numbers coming in from the clerk's office. Is still waiting for Dawn Morgan to get connected up, and we'll check in with her when she does that. But coming back to the Republican gubernatorial race where we were, and we can actually get a little more opinionated now that the polls are closed. We were talking a little bit about the three candidates who are running, and we were talking about Duke Martinez, who said he is what is it you said, Howland kryptonite? Was that kind of how he put it?
He said he had the best shot to beat Holland, that he even was quoting some Democrat pollsters in New Mexico that said he'd have the best opportunity to beat her. He was kryptonite to her. That was his main point that he was making. So I'm not sure he didn't get into a lot of detail about that, but he says he talked to a lot of Democrats that gave him that idea. I know all the three of these guys do have somewhat of a business background too. Rio Rancho Mayor Greg Hall, who just gave up his job in April, stepped down from his mayorship, which you don't see a lot of candidates do that. They want to keep the card in the stack there to help them out at that point, so that they might have a job to go back to. So he decided to give up that position in April. Of course, he was the mayor since 2014, so 12 years in that position. He definitely was a front runner throughout much of the race. And then businessman Doug Turner, he was actually part of Gary Johnson's campaign back in the day, the 2 times that he won for governor. He decided to run, and he said he really didn't need the job. But he says if the right person gets in the job and works for the right causes, they're going to do a good job in the governorship. So that's why he's running. He does own some tech firms, communications firms, and he thinks that the kids of New Mexico are leaving because they're not getting the proper training. That's one of his main pushes. And of course, being a guy that runs a communications firm, and also he knows a lot about business. That's what he's been campaigning about throughout the state of New Mexico. So he's been kind of running in and out there, trying to get himself in. He's a big advocate for also private schools and possibly different types of education for people that don't fit into the regular system. And then Duke Rodriguez, we talked about it before the break too. He is a businessman. There's been question about where he's had houses all over the place, Arizona, Hawaii, and New Mexico. He even had to go to court to prove that he lived most of his time in New Mexico, formerly from Silver City, Alamogordo area. That he got through court, was fine about that. And he actually said that Gary Johnson personally asked him to run for governor in this race. So that's a pretty big field. All three guys with some business background. I think it's been a pretty decent campaign. I don't think it's really been as much mudslinging as we've been seeing on the Democrat side. But I think the one main thing that they all agree on, they're trying to get rid of the personal income tax. And I think that's been a big issue that they're trying to push through and trying to get some money back in the pockets of the people here in New Mexico. Of course, with the inflation we've been seeing with the Iran war and gas prices and the prices of food and things of that nature, even Republicans are saying that enough's enough. regardless of what you want to point fingers at. But the income tax thing, just like in Texas, as you're well aware, lived there for quite a few years, that's starting to kind of rattle some cages here in New Mexico.
Well, it is, and the only thing I would say on that is you've got to be. I don't like taxes, period. Let me just throw that out there right now. If we can get rid of taxes, I'm great with it. It's something they're going through with in Texas right now. And my parents, my brother, aunts and uncles, most of my family still living in Texas. My family's been in New Mexico, by the way, at least part of it since 1870. So I'm kind of from here too, but born and raised in West Texas, even though Texas does not have the state income tax, which is fantastic. They have the highest property tax rates in the country pretty much, and they continue to go up and up and up and up and up. And I know that's been a big political issue over in Texas, is how do we get this under control? And, I'm going to call my parents out a little bit. I know more about their finances than I probably should, but I was 14 years old when they bought the house they live in now. I hadn't been 14 in 40 years now, basically.
Let me do the math here real quick.
Yeah, it's basically been 4 decades. They bought their house for $49,000, and great deal back then. It appraised for $228,000, and so they're paying taxes on that. They didn't get a check for that $150,000 difference, but they're paying taxes on it like they did, and so that's become kind of a thing over in Texas, and they're trying to limit the amount that it can be raised up or cap it at a certain level. But do I like the income tax? No, but we have to get caps and things in place here in New Mexico to where our other taxes don't skyrocket to keep feeding the beast in Santa Fe before I think we go down that route.
And going along with what you're saying, too, I know the gross receipts tax is another one that's come up in the election quite a bit, especially on the Republican side. And we're even having talk here in Hobbs. It just came out about a week or two ago, a possibility having to increase that here in Hobbs to get some money back in the coffers. We've always had the debate about, money going to Santa Fe, and then we don't get the percentage back that we deserve, especially with road conditions. I don't know if anybody's saying that we're in good shape there, but that's a big issue, and that's where a lot of that money goes towards.
If you know somebody who says that especially our state-maintained roads are in good shape, we've got a padded room for them over in Texas, and where I grew up in Big Spring. Our roads, especially our state roads, are terrible, and really they are anywhere outside, at least in my experience, anywhere outside of Albuquerque and Santa Fe, our state roads are awful. I know recently coming home from a state softball tournament game, they had to shut down 285. There was a horrible accident that, caustic chemicals leaking, and so they had to route everybody around and through Corona, and that little state road that you see that you're going, oh, I wonder where that goes. Well, it goes to Corona. And that road, horrible, barely wide enough for one car. There heavy traffic on it because of the windmill construction. And that's a quote unquote state road. That's a quote unquote major state road. And I'm not sure that I would get on it in my 4-wheel drive pickup, much less anything smaller or less capable than that. So yeah, again, if you know somebody who says our roads are fine, especially our state ones, I think they need their head examined.
Well, the question is whether that's a bipartisan or not. You would think that wouldn't be really a party issue to begin with. So, I mean, to make sure that money is being directed properly, especially in the parts of the states that where industry is basically putting the energy and the money on the table in terms of taxation, royalties, et cetera, for the state coffers, that seems to be like a numero uno issue in this state, besides the safety factor, which is more important than the money in the pocket and industry. But at the same time, that's something I don't think that you really should have a party issue with. And I think that's one reason the Republicans have for sure have been hitting hard on the road situation and also the tax revenue to be able to pay for that. And there's been a lot of debate, too. We've had some surpluses in the state coffers over the last few years, too. The question is the priorities of where we're putting that money. I mean, candidates always have ideas, but we're talking the big chunks that you got to invest in and look down the road, and not just the project here and there in your county, but the roads are something you have to project ahead as well.
Well, you certainly do. And important to remember, too, down here we can say we want roads. And I think our contingent up in Santa Fe, both in the House and in the Senate, have done the best job that they can do with what they work with. But there are so many, and I'm not going to blame this on party, because it's not solely a party deal. Lea County, Southeast New Mexico, let's say Lee Eddie Chavez Roosevelt, we are so heavily outweighed by Bernalillo, Torrance, Santa Fe, Los Alamos, and then down in Dona Ana County that's where the money goes. That's where the population is. So that's really on that where the money goes. So okay, we'll check in with Dawn here in just a couple of minutes. Apparently they're having some IT issues there in the courthouse tonight, but roads is a big thing. And how do we get more money down here? I don't know that there is a good answer to that, just because we are so heavily outweighed population wise by, let's face it, the Albuquerque Santa Fe corridor. And then when you throw in Las Cruces and some of the other money in some of the other tourist areas, we can't compete. Forget the fact that the oil counties here in southeast New Mexico and a little bit up around San Juan, up in Farmington, Gallup, they've got some smaller fields up there in the San Juan Basin. We're 50% of the budget. We're half of it, and we get very little of that back. And what do you do to change that? We got to get more people down here, but that brings it a whole other set of problems.
And we're starting to see towns like Lovington, in fact, having to cut their budgets. I mean, let's be honest about it. I mean, it's trickling down to now where different counties and different cities, municipalities are making decisions about budget cuts, freezing raises, salaries, et cetera, which is, hurting the bottom line. I mean, we already have inflation in terms of the national situation we have going on, or some other things that have happened in the past, raising prices, things of that nature, trucking and all that, and ships coming into our ports. And then on top of that, you have small communities trying to keep people here. We're talking about people leaving the state of New Mexico, college-age students, people leaving high school and going next door or a couple states over. We have to have a place in the infrastructure that's going to say there's a future here. And roads might be part of it, but there's other stuff, education and some other things too, that priority-wise, when we have an influx of cash like we've had in several legislatures in the last several years, looking ahead is a big issue.
Well, it is. And sometimes, and this is a politician thing, they can't see past the next election cycle. And whatever it takes to get them reelected is what most of them are going to do, regardless of party, no matter how you think of that, as were things like long-term road planning, long-term infrastructure planning for power, for water, for land usage, et cetera, et cetera. Those are almost generational kinds of things. Now, granted, we've had some people that have been serving in the legislature, both at the national and the state level, since before you and I were born, seemingly. And I'm all for term limits, by the way. Maybe it's just hard for any politician, and let's be honest, to see past the end of their nose when it comes to the election cycle. And long-term planning is not something that any politician is ever going to be particularly good at.
I'm not going to even bring up crime right now, okay?
Oh, yeah. Don't hit on that one right now. So we are at 14 minutes after 7 o'clock. This is Election Central here on Z94 KZOR. Tonight's coverage brought to you by Lasco Construction, Moreno Premier Roofing, State Farm Insurance Agent David Witten, also the Lee County Clerk's Office, J&J Reynolds, IPS Incorporated, Master Plumbers, Kinsey Plumbing, and also Pizza Inn. Tonight we are on Z94 KZOR FM on your radio, the Z94 KZOR app, and we're doing something new tonight. We are video casting at least the TJ and Ty show in Election Central from here at the also known as the KZOR studios on HobbsAmerica.com, the Lee County News and Sports YouTube channel, the KZOR YouTube channel, and on the Z94 KZOR Facebook page. So the polls have been closed for about 15 minutes. And again, apparently they're having some IT issues at the courthouse. They've had to put in new systems that are more robust, if you will, since the last one is with the advent of AI and data centers. That's another one we could get into and go into the weeds on pretty deep, I have a feeling. That becomes a little bit problematic sometimes to get those numbers in, but we are waiting on those numbers, and we will get them for you as soon as they start coming in, both from the Lee County Courthouse and the clerk's office. Dawn Morgan with Clerk Carrie Sandoval. A lot of the candidates, I've been told, are there as well as we continue our coverage here tonight. Thank you for letting us be a part of your evening as we do Election Central 2026, the primary edition. So really keeping our eyes On the state races, of the contested state races of note, and talking a little politics while we're at it, as well. Apparently, the Lee County um, clerk's office is not the only person having problems tonight. The Secretary of State's website just crashed, I've noticed.
Let me tell you just really quickly about registration for voting. Since January, the state of New Mexico has registered 19,773 more voters since that time. So that's been about 5 or 6 months since January. Democrats 40% of the state, Republicans 31%, and that's kind of gotten a narrower gap between the two parties at the top there. Independents have moved up to 26%. So they're knocking at the door with Republicans right now here in New Mexico. Here in Lea County, the number is a little bit different, of course. Republicans sit at 52%. That's pretty much stayed about the same since January. Independents or no party affiliate, 29% is second, and Democrats at 18%, sitting at third. So again, we talked about this before. Independents do have a lot more sway now that they can vote in the primaries, and for either party, it's you make the decision. You can't vote for both parties, but you can pick one or not at all. It's up to you. You can wait for the general election. They did have 18,402 independents vote early. That's the numbers up through Saturday. I don't think they have everything completely figured on that, but that's pretty close to what it would be. Democrats really ran the early voting, though. 77% of those ballots were coming at the Democrats' hands, and 31% for Republicans. So Democrats pretty much taking control of the early voting so far. That does include absentee that was counted earlier as well. And of course, you were mentioning earlier, Don will have some of the early voting first. How do you think that in terms of this county, you think the voting turnout? When I was there on Saturday, it was my family, 3 of us came in, and all 3 clerks that were sitting there were excited because each of them got one of us to deal with.
Yeah, I wouldn't, because when I voted over there, I wouldn't call it slow necessarily, but it was not as packed, and you see that oftentimes in off-year elections, and especially for a primary. The general will probably still be off. Lee County with less than 20% in the general was just absolutely horrible. But yeah, early voting, 2,315. That was it. I mean, that's 5.8% of the registered voters voted early. That's by far not a terrible number. But when you think about it, we have something, well, I mean, if you go by that number, it'd be about 40,000 people registered to vote here in Lee County. Yeah, that's not a real good number that are going to be making decisions depending on how the in-person turnout was today. So, and I've always heard this: if you don't vote, you can't complain. And a lot of people around here like to complain, but the numbers say they don't vote.
Let's put you on the spot for a minute. Are you supporting of the early voting, or do you think it should just be a traditional November day, second, or this Tuesday of November, and be done with it, or do you think it's just giving an opportunity for more to actually show up that would not show up during a general election, where they have a limited one day to plan their work schedule and time off and lunch hour, whatever it might be?
I am all for the early voting. I enjoy it. I take advantage of it. I have for many, many years now. And I think that early voting is a wonderful thing. And I think that we should have that, and anything that we can do to make it easier to get out and vote is a good thing. And so I'm all for early and at least limited absentee balloting. So anything, again, that can make it easier for somebody to get out and make their voice heard, there's nothing in the world wrong with that.
And we've talked a little bit about independent voting as well. And I know a lot of candidates this time around, if you checked out their Facebook or their websites with the campaign, a lot of them were trying to get the independent vote down to the wire. Bregman was really pushing hard. And I know he got some flack up in Albuquerque on the radio circuit up there about, trying to sound like a moderate as you're running in the Democratic primary and trying to get the votes out of people. But there are people that did switch parties just to vote, to try to sabotage, if you want to use that word. That's a little bit harsh, but to try to get candidates in that they think might have a worse chance to beat their candidate in their party. There's different divisions, you could say, with Holland and Bregman in terms of the governor's race, who would be a better fit. But you really don't know yet, because you're still waiting to see who the Republican candidate is. All of them have some good plus factors that when they ran for this election, business has been a strong point for the Republicans, and we had a mayor in the mix too, 2 business owners, and all of them are doing pretty well financially for themselves, really doing a good job with their careers. So I think these guys are professional. They've handled themselves pretty well on the campaign trail. The question is, in terms of these elections, are people just, completely tired of the political process? I mean, you go on talk shows, you go on, listen to AI now, and you get on the internet. You never really know about your sourcing anymore. You see a website pop up, and I don't know how many times I hear, as a teacher in the public schools, kids will come to school, automatically take for granted what they're reading on the internet and this is on adult websites too. We're talking, these conspiracy theories and who's doing this, what politician, why is he doing that? No actual sourcing coming through that, but it's really causing people to kind of think. I mean, you have Facebook pop-ups that just pop up there. Did you know this about this candidate? And again, no proof. And these are bots too that just float around your internet, and you really can't sue a bot unless you can prove where it's coming from.
Yeah, that's very true. And trust but verify. The old Reagan-esque admonition there is, I mean, he was talking about the Russians and nuclear weapons. We're just talking about stuff on Facebook. One's a little more important than the other, I would think. But yeah, if you see something that makes you go, maybe I do want to look at that. Maybe I do want to check it out. That's part of being in the educated electorate. You have to go, okay, well, and let's take the Republican gubernatorial race, stuff, Duke Rodriguez. He doesn't live here. He's been in Arizona. He's an Arizona resident. He lives in Hawaii. Well, okay. Yes, he has houses there. And yes, there's questions, but they said that, and they went to court and they proved that indeed, at least according to the court, that he was a New Mexico resident. So that pretty much blows that conspiracy theory out of the water. So Dawn Morgan is ready at the courthouse, but we are coming up on a break here. So we will take a time out and we'll check in with Dawn when we come back. This is Election Central on Z94 KZOR.
Z94.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carton. The first polls have closed in today's primary elections. Voters are casting ballots in U.S. House, Senate, and governor races across 6 states. Polls are closed in New Jersey, while polls in Iowa, New Mexico, and South Dakota close next, followed by Montana and California later. In California, the race for governor and Los Angeles mayor have garnered plenty of national attention. NBC's Liz Kreutz reports the Los Angeles mayoral race is in the spotlight, in part because of one of the candidates is reality TV star Spencer Pratt.
Pratt, who is a registered Republican but running with no party affiliation, entered the race after losing his home in the Palisades fire last year. He's trying to unseat incumbent Democratic Mayor Karen Bass, who faced intense criticism for her handling of that disaster.
Elsewhere, Democrats in Iowa are looking to flip the Senate seat being vacated by retiring Republican Joni Ernst. Police in California say they're dealing with an active bomb threat and hostage situation inside a Chase Bank in downtown Bakersfield. Sergeant Eric Celadon said police received a call just after 1 p.m. about a bomb threat.
Unidentified male subject at this point entered the bank and is currently barricaded with an unknown number of members of our community. This is a very active scene.
CBS News reports a bomb is strapped to the man's chest. Police have locked down a wide perimeter and say they're involved in ongoing negotiations with the man. Bakersfield is in Central California, northwest of Santa Barbara. President Trump is dismissing reports claiming U.S.-Iran negotiations have stalled. Here's Chris Coraggio.
The president pushed back on the claims with a post on Truth Social where he called the reports false and erroneous. His comments follow reporting from Iranian state media on Monday that Tehran would stop exchanging messages with the U.S. through intermediaries over accusations of a ceasefire violation. However, the president's post asserted that conversations have been going on continuously.
You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
Listen up. B&B Rentals and Services has got dumpsters. Can you believe it? 30 and 40-yard dumpsters. These guys are a contractor's dream. B&B Rentals has light plants, porta-john trash trailer combos, office trailers, emergency and recovery trailers. Conveniently located in Lovington, B&B can serve you anywhere in Lea County and the surrounding area. Find B&B Rentals LLC on social media, and if you can remember the number, call 396-1722. B&B Rentals and Services.
It's me, Sammy Sludge. I'm the sludge inside your pipes, your toilet pipes, bathroom sink pipes, even your kitchen sink pipe. I'm inside and outside causing all sorts of problems.
Plumbing problems?
Call the master. Master Plumbers, serving households in Lea County and West Texas for over 20 years. Tell Sammy Sludge you called the master. Master Plumbers, 397-9385.
A trusted name in roofing is now under new management and new ownership. Introducing Moreno Premier Roofing, built on over 40 years of experience, delivering dependable service, quality, workmanship, and lasting results. Moreno Premier Roofing provides roofing solutions for residential and commercial properties with a commitment to doing the job right the first time. Call today to schedule your estimate, 575-396-7182, 575-396-7182, Moreno Premier Roofing.
If you're a renter, you may never know why your landlord starts lawn care at 7 a.m. every stinking Sunday, or why your car is the goal line for the neighbor kids' soccer games. You may also not know State Farm can save you hundreds by combining your auto and renter's insurance. So protect your car and your stuff with one good neighbor, your State Farm agent. It could save you time and money. Contact State Farm agent David Witten today in Hobbs or Levington.
Kenzie Plumbing, don't wait. Call 397-3218.
Plumbing problems like a clogged drain? Call Kenzie Plumbing, because right now you can have your drain cleared for $39. $39 for any one drain. Plus, Kenzie Plumbing will provide a free camera inspection at no cost. $39 drain cleaning. Call Kenzie Plumbing, 397-3218. Hurry, this offer won't last long. Reminder, Kenzie Plumbing will meet or beat any competitor's plumbing price.
Lasco Construction is a proud partner in education in Lea County. Lasco Construction is your hometown construction company. Lasco Construction encourages you and business owners to support Tatum, Jow, Lovington, Eunice, and Hobbs businesses. Buy as much as you can locally, which is why Lasco Construction always supports the youth of Lea County. Lasco Construction supports you. Call 393-9161 for all your construction needs. Support your community.
When everyone's trying to decide what to do for dinner and no one can agree, there's one place that always brings you back together. Pizza Inn. Hot, fresh pizza made just the way you like it. It's more than dinner. It's a moment to slow down, sit close, and reconnect. And when you can't make it in, bring the party home with all your Pizza Inn favorites, because family night just got better. Whether it's family night, game night, or just because, Pizza Inn brings your family back to the table. Pizza Inn, 1943 North Grimes in Hobbs.
Did you hear? Allstate car insurance now costs even less. So when you bundle with home, you can save even more. Check Allstate first to bundle and save with a new lower auto rate. You're in good hands with Allstate. Not available in every state. Only applicable for new auto insurance business. Rates will vary by several factors, including how you purchase the policy. Potential savings may vary. Allstate North American Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Relentless in the face of every challenge, American men provide for, teach, and lead the way for the next generation. Fathers, tradesmen, and working cowboys. These are the men who build our nation and leave a legacy that endures. They are the faces of American grit, and above all else, they are fathers. This Father's Day, visit your local Boot Barn to find a gift worthy of their grit. Boot Barn. Unwrap the West.
Your number one hit music station. 94.1 KCOR.
Welcome back to Election Central 2026, the primary edition here on Z94 KZOR from Noalmark Broadcasting. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Lasco Construction, Moreno Premier Roofing, David Witten, State Farm, and the Lea County Clerk's Office. Election Central also brought to you by J&J Rentals, Master Plumbers, IPS Incorporated, Pizza Inn, and Kenzie Plumbing. With Ty Friend, I'm TJ Miracle in Election Central. Don Morgan standing by at the Lea County Courthouse as we are at 7:30 now on election night. Polls have been closed for approximately a half hour, and we're expecting numbers to start coming in hopefully fairly soon as we bring in the third member of our broadcast crew tonight, Don Morgan. Don, are you there?
Oh, yes, I am. But I'm actually the first member of your broadcast crew.
Well, yes, that is correct.
No, that is
you are the one on location.
No.
So
I'm last in any room.
Don, we've got a 2-to-1 vote here.
That's right. See, I'm outnumbered. That's my point, right? No, it's good to be here at the courthouse. I'm as usual across the hall from the clerk's office in the assessor's office. So thank you to Ava Binge and to the folks here and to the very nice people in the clerk's office. The gang is all there and they're ready. I might, remind you that even though the polls closed at 7, anybody in line at 7 o'clock would be allowed to continue to vote. And I'm told that there were several precincts or voting places or polling places in Lee County that did have people there waiting and a line at 7 o'clock when the polls closed. So even though they were closed, the voting, it's going to take a little bit longer in some places for the voting to actually get done. They can close out the tape on that machine, shut it down, and then, get ready to bring it up and transfer into the system. And then it gets uploaded into the system that I can see, which, by the way, not only did we get a new computer system at work, they did up here at the county courthouse as well. Things are a little bit different. And, so some things are the same. I'm in the assessor's office. We have great election team in the clerk's office, led by Carrie Sandoval, who was the Bureau of Elections chief for 23 years, I think, was something like that. And she's got a good crew with her, and they were all, hey, but here's the deal. It will take a little while for things to get uploaded into the system for us to be able to start seeing those returns. And yes, I was told that it would probably be led by the early absentee votes. Those will be the first things that will come into the system that we'll be able to read. They also will provide me with a printout, and the printout should also show where those votes were coming in. The system online has been improved a bit as well, because it now will show you each contest, and then it also shows you the precinct results. And the precinct numbers are only important insofar as each polling place now, since it's an open polling system throughout Lee County, you can vote at whatever poll, as long as you're a registered eligible voter or you're registering same day to vote, as long as you are that you can vote anywhere. Even though that's true, each polling place is considered a consolidation of several precinct numbers. So those precinct results are shown on the website, and then there's also a map that will show you, where this particular race, pertains to, or what it comprises. So that's, having said all that, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Plus the new system up here is very tightly controlled for security reasons. And everybody's computer has an automatic 5-minute setting on it. And it makes you refresh every 5 minutes, or it will do it for you. It has an auto update. If you watch the countdown and I can beat it before it makes you automatically update, I don't have to put the password back in to open the system back up. So I kind of keep an eye on that little 5-minute countdown. And if I can catch it and refresh it myself, that makes it easier and quicker to keep watching the screen and not have to go back in and log back in, yada, yada, yada. So I'm sort of, just adapting to the new system. And we're very grateful to be able to be here at all, and to have a window in and a little bit of a head start on the rest of the state, or even the rest of the people in the county being able to look and see the results.
Well, and that is very important. And Ty, I think you got, NBC News up, and the Secretary of State's website already they don't have anything listed statewide yet, but
right.
NBC News is already, called the Democratic gubernatorial race. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but
yeah, they've got
their own
yes.
polling exit poll system and watchers to predict the percentage, and they're pretty accurate on that. So I think they're saying within 1 to 3%, I believe.
Yeah, it's right now. It says that they have 16.6% in statewide. Of course, Lee County not included. That's 196,000 votes left still to be counted. They got Holland at 30,603, which is 78%. Sam Bragwin 8,000. Oh, they just dumped it up now. 31,440 to 8,701. 78% to 21%, just rounding those numbers up. So that's a major landslide. Then they got the Republican too close to call right now. Doug Turner at 44%, Greg Hall at 38%, and Duke Rodriguez at 16%. So there's a spread between second and third, but the first and second still about looks like about 5% difference there. 14.5% votes in. About 112,000 left in that race to be added up still. That's statewide, though.
The state, not to be outdone, has finally updated the statewide numbers.
Oh, wow. Magic.
Yeah, magic. Here in BC's doing it. So, yeah, and they've got Howland winning by a landslide over Bregman. Of course, still they're showing 4.25% of ballots counted. So, and yeah, Howland way over Sam Bregman. I don't think any huge surprise there. Greg Hull is leading substantially over Doug Turner and Duke Rodriguez, although you add those two up, and Hull is still winning again. That is with some very, very, very low numbers in. When you look at lieutenant governor on the Republican side, at least with the very small amount of numbers that have come in, they have David Gallegos with the early lead over Aubrey Dunn. Right now, 47 to 40%, 16,700 votes to 14,330 with Larda Zabal, just kind of bringing up the rear there with 4,500. So
I would have to ask Don a question. Don, do you think people are very upfront when if a poller comes to their face after getting out of the poll booth, I'd have to leave the building, but do you think those are accurate when they project that quick? Or
they have factored in, they've done studies, and they have factored in the emotional response to exactly your question. Do people actually tell the truth? Do they prevaricate a little bit? I mean, do they just outright lie? Do they whatever? And they have found that it is majority, well over 50%, actually tell the truth. Now, they might not tell the truth exactly on every race or a person they voted for, but they will almost always tell the truth about whether they voted conservative, liberal, libertarian, but for the most part, their studies have shown that they can count on truth in the exit polls, and therefore that's how they get it pretty accurate to within just a few percentage points of what actually happens later, what people say, and then the actual results. So over elections and over studies and everything, it's a pretty good indicator, apparently, pretty accurate as to how people actually voted. And the sample size is surprisingly small as well. You're not having to have, more than 50% of the vote returns in. They've got this now down to, it's actually a science, of course, and they've got this down so that they can have far fewer than you would think. I don't know what the little make or break number, what the percentage is for that, but it's a lot less than you would think to be able to predict with pretty good accuracy how the race will actually turn out after all the votes are counted. So I think it's pretty interesting.
Is that the media doing that, or they hire a polling company to do that?
It's definitely, different people fund them, but the studies, that they're showing, I don't know who's paying for the studies, but they're supposedly independent studies so that they're not buying results and making them say what they want to.
I'm just wondering if the media companies are actually doing the interviewing when they come out, or is the media trying to stay out of that polling stuff?
I think the media does their own, but I don't think that it factors into the scientific studies when they've studied that, when researched how accurate they are. I think the media, certainly in some markets, depending on how big the media company is, I think they have their own little engine, that they do. They have their own connection. But as terms of the actual research that predicts the accuracy, the predictability, and the reliability of all this, those were supposedly, nonpartisan scientific studies that weren't done by somebody with a dog in the hunt.
All right, very good. As we continue on, hopefully we'll start getting some numbers in, the local numbers here before too long. I know the clerk's office always, scrambles around and gets those for us very good. Again, we were talking about this earlier. Early voting, at least according to the Lea County Clerk's Command Center website. I like that. You can compliment Carrie on that, by the way, Dawn. 5.8% of Lea County's registered voters voted early. 2,315. The number on that is of 6 o'clock. Only 2,792 had voted. That was at their 6 o'clock update. It has not updated since then. And so with what they had at 6 o'clock, a voter turnout rate of just 13.8%.
Yeah, and that's about what she told me on Saturday afternoon. We talked, and it was close to 4 p.m. So there were only a couple of hours left of early voting at that point in Hobbs, Lovington, and Jowl, and that's about what she said. She said it was within about a tenth of a point of what you just said, and she indicated I think it was either 5.8 or 5.9 is what she was predicting early voter turnout. And she said that typically, historically, the actual voter turnout would be about twice that much. That's what has been trending over the last several general elections and primaries, is about twice what the early voter turnout is. So that would track pretty well. Maybe just be slightly greater than twice that, just barely.
Can I ask you a question about your candidates that you interviewed this last few weeks?
Sure.
You had a big, long list of them there on media meeting this week, and were pretty interesting. But was there any bipartisan issues that you saw from local Lea County candidates that they pretty much agreed on that really needs to be addressed in this next cycle of months?
What I saw is that almost everybody will talk about the same issues and agree about the same issues. What they disagree with is how to tackle them. What's going to solve the problem, make them better? What's going to improve the situations or solve the problems? So, yeah, the issues are basically the same. Everybody agrees that some candidates chose to emphasize certain issues more than others, but on almost everybody used the same issues and talked about those being the important for New Mexico. Some chose roads as more important than education, or government or economy, more important than health care or something. But it's the same 4, 5, 6 big issues. It's just the difference comes in how to tackle them, and that's where political ideology comes in.
Was this one of your biggest contested primaries that you've talked to candidates from in recent past, or?
Oh, it's about the same. Usually there are 2 or 3 local races that will have 2 or more candidates in them, and then an awful lot that are uncontested, and always a couple like this year, where the commission and the what is the other one? Sheriff, that there will be no Democrat on the ballot unless there's a write-in for the general election in November. So whoever wins the Republican primary is the de facto winner of that race. So there are a couple like that, sheriff, and then the county commissioner race among the Brian Pointer and Grasham and Lee. And that whoever wins that, I think, does not have a Democrat challenger on the ballot in November.
Yeah, I believe that is right. As I'm looking over the ballot, yes, that probate judge would go in that too. It does not look like there is a Democratic challenger. So
magistrate.
Yep, magistrate is
there
the
is
same
a
way.
magistrate. No, I think there's.
Oh, is there?
Yes, I think there's a Democrat in that.
Oh, yes, there is.
magistrate.
Yes, there is. Boris Dwayne Smith.
Yes.
So yes, thank you, Dawn. You're probably not even looking at the screen, and I am. I'm going to blame it on the trifocals.
It's just from research from about the candidate, doing candidates and figuring all things.
Blame it on AI.
Yeah.
Some days I think I need some AI to augment the normal around here, but neither here nor there as we continue our coverage. Election Central 2026, the primary edition. As we continue on through, taking a look at the numbers that are coming in statewide, according to the New Mexico Secretary of State. I know, Ty, you've got some of the other news outlets pulled up over on your side of the thing. Yeah, I think they're probably right to go ahead and call it for Deb Haaland with 73 to 27 right now, with about 10% of things being reported in right now. So I think can probably call it for her. Still too close to call on the Republican side of things. On the Republicans, this may actually become a case of what if it was down to two candidates. When you add up the numbers with Turner and Rodriguez, their numbers very slightly eclipse what Greg Hull has right now with just 10% in. I mean, that's obviously not a lot can change with another 90% still sitting out there. As you look at that, the Republicans may wind up going, hey, what could have been. We talked about it earlier with Duke Rodriguez saying, he felt like he was the only candidate that could possibly beat Deb Haaland.
Kryptonite, TJ.
Kryptonite. That's I'm pretty sure Detective Comics has that trademarked. I don't want to get in trouble with Warner Brothers DC there. So felt like he was the kryptonite for that, and he, I don't want to say that that he was right, but I think if you look at the demographics of the state, he might not be too far off the mark there. He might have been the one that could do it, just simply for the Latino last name.
And in fact, he had one of his ads were saying that they need a Latino American in that position, the only person that would have a chance to beat Holland. And he actually made that comment, one of his campaign literature that he had out on the internet. So he's pretty bold about coming out with that statement and trying to make sure that people understood that. And he keeps quoting Democratic pollsters throughout New Mexico and some people outside. They're doing, everybody's following the races, of course, not just New Mexico, but that he thought that he could probably pull in some vote in different sectors that the other candidates couldn't. And right now he's in a distant third, so it doesn't look like he's going to be in good shape in terms of winning this primary, though.
No, I wouldn't think so. Another one we're keeping a close eye on is the lieutenant governor's race. Of course, includes our friend David Gallegos, and right now it's not a comfortable lead, but he is leading over Aubrey Dunn in that one, 47-41, with again just under 10% of the numbers being reported in statewide. And Dawn, I'm gonna bring you back in as we're gonna jump back to the Republican governor. I know that Greg Hull and Doug Turner both came into town. You've spoken with both of them. I don't recall Duke Rodriguez coming into town, at least not for anything public.
No, I think he may have been in and out fairly quietly for fundraising, maybe. But I was not contacted or aware of media opportunities or public opportunities for him. So I will not, like you, I will not say he wasn't here, but I'm not aware of anything that was open to the public or to the media if or when he came to Lea County. I would say though, I think, and I would have said this before these results started coming in, and they may not hold or track, but I'll stand by this, that I think and have thought from the beginning that David Gallegos has an excellent chance. I think he's got a more than solid chance of actually winning the primary and being, on that Republican ticket for lieutenant governor. I think it's very possible for him to win that statewide. I do too. Yeah.
You know what fundraising event Doug Turner was at about a week or two ago?
Yes.
Trivia question.
Well, I'm glad two of the three of us know.
Drum roll. Go ahead.
This new stupid system, I don't have the drum roll sound effect immediately happening.
Okay, he was in Florida, the Mar-a-Lago, Trump's big ranch, whatever you call it, resort there in Palm Beach. Yeah, he was with the Alaska guy running for governor, gubernatorial candidate there. So he did fly into that. So I don't know if he's going to take the endorsement of Mr. Trump, but Turner did go there just within the last couple of weeks for a big fundraiser. So
he's definitely dropping Trump's name. I noticed, and he wasn't early on in his ads, in the radio ads, and having been up in the Albuquerque area a couple of times, during the early and middle part of the campaign for the primaries, hearing a lot of radio ads and being exposed to a lot of those. I noticed in the later ads, in the last just couple of weeks, he changed those ads to include, he was name dropping Trump. He skates that edge of aligning himself with Trump, and it sounds like he may have the permission, tacit approval of President Trump to do that, but he stopped short, of it's just, well, it's very carefully worded, and but he does definitely create that relationship or point toward a relationship that he has with President Trump, and saying that he and his company, have worked with President Trump and the administration. But it is very carefully worded. But I thought the same thing, Ty. When I first heard it, I thought, I wonder if he does get the Republican nod, if he's going to be courting that endorsement. Now, President Trump held off in a couple of very major, very high profile Texas races. He held out very late in endorsing in the Paxton Cornyn race. He held out for a long time, and it would make one wonder, did he have inside information? Was he waiting to go ahead and endorse who the numbers were showing had the better chance to win, since he didn't endorse really early? Was he waiting just to lead from the back, so to speak, on that one? But I don't know. But Greg Hall did name drop him during his interview with me, and then in his radio ads in the last couple of weeks, Ty.
And in contrast to that, too, I know Deb Holland, one an interview she made with the Albuquerque Journal a few weeks ago, said that her main priority was to get more attorneys at the state level to file lawsuits against Trump when he tries to do things she doesn't think is legal, such as ICE and some of these other things that have been proposed coming into the state and patrolling a lot more, that she was going to try to get more attorneys in there. And that's how she was going to fight Trump more on the legal side of it. And then, that's I don't know, neither here nor there on that, but that's one thing of both candidates. And in fact, even the TV and radio advertisements for her opponent in this race was also big time. Bregman talking about he was the anti-Trump candidate. So they were not short-tongued about nailing the president. And some people think that might backfire a little bit because there's some kind of swing voters in this state that even like Trump, even though they might not be a Republican at this point. But you never know how that might come back to haunt them during the general election when that gets thrown back in their face.
Yeah, that's true. There are a lot of voters who they like the conservative and some ultra conservative stances on issues, and they don't necessarily support a candidate so much as they support the position. And so as the saying goes, and it's true for Democrats, Republicans, and other parties, when you hold your nose and vote for someone, it might mean that you don't really like the person, the candidate, but you want to go with that stance, that liberal or ultra liberal, the Republican or the conservative, ultra conservative, or if you're looking for somebody who's more of a centrist and you're holding your nose and voting not for the person but for the position.
Or splinter issues too, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it could very well be, and I did notice some in the lieutenant governor race. Now, I don't think any of Senator Gallegos's things directly came out and put it up there, although I think there were some of the PACs and some of the other money that got involved, and they attacked Dunn for saying some not so nice things about the president, and that in this part of the world can really affect how things go. And with the Republican base, that may wind up, it's like, hey, this guy said that Trump was. He didn't go. Trump was Hitler. I have a stack of stuff at the house that I forgot to bring with me this afternoon. But Dunn was very critical of the president, and that was pointed out in the lieutenant governor's race and in some of the things that were sent out there very prominently. Not necessarily from Senator Gallegos, but from some of the PACs that got involved. So just noticing that as we're talking about all this. It's 5 minutes away from 8 o'clock. Thank you so much for being with us on Election Central 2026. We'll take a quick time out, come back, and continue. Election Central brought to you by Pizza Inn, Kinsey Plumbing, IPS Incorporated, J&J Rentals, and Master Plumbers. Election Central also from Lea County Clerk's Office, David Witten, State Farm Insurance, Moreno Premier Roofing, and Lasco Construction. We'll be back with more Election Central on Z94 KZOR right after this from Fox News.
Fox News, I'm Tom Rigotti. California primary voters are deciding who will advance in the race to be the state's next governor. Fox's Jonathan Hunt has more on the Democratic frontrunners.
Javier Becerra leapfrogged his opponents in recent weeks following the collapse of former Congressman Eric Swalwell's campaign. Becerra is fighting off allegations of ties to big oil and corporations, as well as a strong challenge from another Democrat, free-spending billionaire Tom Steyer.
Steve Hilton is the top Republican. The top two vote-getters will appear on the November ballot regardless of party. A Florida inmate is put to death nearly 3 decades after killing a baby.
Andrew Richard Luckhart was executed for the 1997 killing of his girlfriend's infant daughter, Gabrielle Henshaw. After murdering the 5-month-old, he threw the body into a pond.
That's Fox's Tom Graham. America's listening to Fox News.
A trusted name in roofing is now under new management and new ownership. Introducing Moreno Premier Roofing. Built on over 40 years of experience, delivering dependable service, quality, workmanship, and lasting results. Moreno Premier Roofing provides roofing solutions for residential and commercial properties with a commitment to doing the job right the first time. Call today to schedule your estimate. 575-396-7182. 575-396-7182. Moreno Premier Roofing.
It's time to celebrate 250 years of America. The 4th of July Party in the Park 2026. 50 years of the world's greatest lizard races. The fun is at Chaparral Park for a full day of family fun, games, food, and community celebration. And you can help make this milestone event the biggest one yet. Attend the committee meeting June 3rd at noon at the Lovington Chamber of Commerce. Share your ideas, volunteer, and be a part of the excitement. Party in the Park 2026. Paid for by Lodgers Tax.
Here's some good news. Master Plumbers is thanking their customers. Right now, you can have your drain cleared for $39. $39, and you pick the drain. You better hurry. This drain clearing promotion won't last long. Plus, free camera inspection. Drain clogged? No problem. Call the Master. 397-9385. Reminder, Master Plumbers will meet or beat any competitor's plumbing price.
Master Plumbers. Call the Master.
If you're a renter, you may never know why your landlord starts lawn care at 7 a.m. every stinking Sunday, or why your car is the goal line for the neighbor kids' soccer games. You may also not know State Farm can save you hundreds by combining your auto and renter's insurance. So protect your car and your stuff with one good neighbor, your State Farm agent. It could save you time and money. Contact State Farm agent David Witten today in Hobbs or Lovington.
Kenzie Plumbing, don't wait. Call 397-3218.
Plumbing problems like a clogged drain? Call Kinsey Plumbing, because right now you can have your drain cleared for $39. $39 for any one drain. Plus, Kinsey Plumbing will provide a free camera inspection at no cost. $39 drain cleaning. Call Kinsey Plumbing, 397-3218. Hurry, this offer won't last long. Reminder, Kinsey Plumbing will meet or beat any competitor's plumbing price.
Lasco Construction is a proud partner in education in Lee County. Lasco Construction is your hometown construction company. Lasco Construction encourages you and business owners to support Tatum, Jow, Lovington, Eunice, and Hobbs businesses. Buy as much as you can locally, which is why Lasco Construction always supports the youth of Lee County. Lasco Construction supports you. Call 393-9161 for all your construction needs. Support your community.
When everyone's trying to decide what to do for dinner and no one can agree, there's one place that always brings you back together. Pizza Inn. Hot, fresh pizza made just the way you like it. It's more than dinner. It's a moment to slow down, sit close, and reconnect. And when you can't make it in, bring the party home with all your Pizza Inn favorites, because family night just got better. Whether it's family night, game night, or just because, Pizza Inn brings your family back to the table. Pizza Inn, 1943 North Grimes in Hobbs.
Welcome back to Election Central on Z94 KZOR Hobbs, HobbsAmerica.com, the Z94 KZOR Facebook page, the Lee County News and Sports YouTube channel, and the KZOR YouTube channel as well. With Ty Friend, I'm TJ Miracle in Election Central. Don Morgan at the Lee County Courthouse as we cover election results tonight. especially focusing on our local contested races in this 2026 primary, but keeping an eye on the statewide contested primary races as well. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Lasco Construction, Moreno Premier Roofing, David Witten State Farm Insurance, the Lee County Clerk's Office, and Master Plumbers. Election Central Primary 2026 also brought to you by J&J Rentals, Kinsey Plumbing, IPS Incorporated, and Pizza Inn. Thanks for being with us tonight on Z94 KZOR. 1 minute after 8 o'clock, polls have been closed for 61 minutes now, and still waiting on Lee County results to start coming in as we bring in Dawn Morgan. Dawn, have we heard anything out of Clerk Sandoval yet?
Not yet. We don't have anything uploaded into the system. So we are waiting on the early absentee should come in first. And this is just not out of line. I think the last time we had, I don't remember, I think it was a general election. It took a little bit longer. I think it was about 8:15, 8:20 or so, if I remember correctly, when we did get the very first results uploaded in, and they were early absentee. So maybe we're looking, within 10, 15 minutes, hopefully, something like that. There have been a few candidates in and around and out and about. And Sharon Payne was here earlier, and I believe she was on her way out, and I was still trying to solve some IT, and get things set up. She just said hello. I don't think she's still out there. I saw Brian Pointer, county commission, of course, a candidate in that District 3. And there have been, I've heard a couple of voices, I think just familiar voices of former county commissioner Rebecca Long. Heard her, waved, she was on her way out the door, I think, as well, or at least across the hall. So, there are and have been some of the candidates and some of the government representatives now and have passed, like Rebecca Long, in and out and drifting in and out and waiting to see those results. Some of them, still here or planning to come back. So there's nobody right now, right here, of course, as that always happens. I'll wave or see or say, hey, I'll come back in, and then it's time to get them on the air, and
they disappear.
They're gone, they're out.
And see, normally that's my problem. When I approach anyone with a microphone, they disappear. Usually with you, they're like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll talk.
Yeah, so I still may lure one or two in here in a while to maybe sit and visit with us for just a little bit if I can. But right now there's nobody available, and they're scrambling, and they all have their heads to the down on not on their desks. That makes it sound like kindergarten, right? They're all resting. They have their heads on their desk and taking a nap. No, they've got their heads down, and they're on the heads to the grindstone is what I meant. Noses to the grindstone there in the county clerk's office. So I know everybody's got a job, and they're busy right now. So they've assured me that I'll see the results refreshed in the system as soon as they're in, and then that will be followed with some printouts over here as well. So just still waiting on those.
Hey, Don, can I? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you with some of the state office candidates that were running for different state offices. Anybody directly talk about Lee County? I know Lee County candidates. I'm talking about more of the governor candidates, or anybody else that you talk to that really kind of tried to touch on Lee County issues that might be of interest.
Yeah, I know that both Greg Hall and also Greg did, and then also when I talked with
Doug Turner.
Yes, Doug Turner. Thank you.
No problem. It's been a long day.
Yeah, and I'm scrolling through all of these names right here on this and then doing a refresh at the same time. So, but Doug did. But most recently, Greg talked very much about something. What he wants to do is set up a fund that takes money that Lee County makes and sends to the state, and actually earmark a certain percentage of that to come back and go into a special fund that would bankroll improvements, infrastructure that's necessary for oil and gas to continue to be a leader, not just in the state and the region, but in the U.S. in terms of oil and gas production, and some of the other, possible things that are coming as a result of more discoveries that they're making in and around oil and gas fields and activities that could lead to, further things like rare earth minerals and things. But he wants to have a fund, actually, and not to rely on legislators to vote a certain amount of money in the budget to come back to Lee County, but actually earmark a certain percentage to automatically put that money in and then get that money right back to us to be able to repair roads, to keep up with the degradation that the oil field traffic, does to our roads just on a daily basis. And not just keep our heads above water, but actually, maybe get ahead of some of this and start to make those improvements and not have to rely on every year of the legislators budgeting that and then it taking another year or two to actually filter down and get those projects started. He wants to have Lee County to have more money, and Eddy County as well, and the counties of Southeast New Mexico, but have us get that money, have it available sooner, and actually get to work on these infrastructure needs sooner, so that we can continue to keep oil and gas happening, and then also get it to. Hey, Corey Helton, Sheriff Helton, want to come in? Sorry, Ty, I just saw him. he walked by quickly, waving. I thought that was a hey, I'm here, but no, I'm moving too fast. I can't come in and talk to you.
Well, can I ask you a question about the sheriff's race?
Sure.
Did you hear anything out of the ordinary between the three candidates? They all have a lot of experience with the sheriff's office and of Hobbs Police Department in some cases. Did anything unique come out of them in terms of what crime or how to deal with it here in Lee County?
I think each of those three candidates represent a different faction. I don't think, and this is not coming from them, I think that they are probably aware of that, but it's my read based on things they have said and not said, and then what I'm hearing as well, officially and unofficially, that there are different factions, within every law enforcement, every law enforcement department, every not just law enforcement. I mean, you look at any department that's big enough, and you're going to have a personality. You're going to have leaders, develop within them with personalities that attract people to them, and they get into sort of different camps and different factions. And I think that each of these candidates, represents maybe not an official leader of a faction, but I think that they each go into a slightly different category in terms of their leadership style, what they want to do and accomplish with the department, and how they would go about doing it. So you can look at them and you see they all have experience, practical experience, but that experience is slightly different from candidate to candidate, as far as is it with police, is it with sheriff, is it do they have private experience, do they have, in addition to the public experience in service in departments. And so there's a difference in how they're going to go about it. But everybody is really staying away from the hot button topics of the specific lawsuits and things that have made the sheriff's department and other law enforcement departments, targets of messy public lawsuits of late.
Yeah, the messy public lawsuits, but I'll also throw out kind of the messy social media mud that has been slung on certain candidates in this race that obviously we won't go into, but I think privately a couple of the candidates said, hey, some of these things are a problem and we want to root this out and get rid of it, and we don't think that it was maybe handled real well.
Yeah, and I think they would all say that some of them support the current leadership and administration more than others, but they're all I think I have to commend them in a way, and then in a way, I have to say, well, if you want things to be significantly different, you're gonna have to kind of come out with a much more pointed position on what you will and won't do. But I know that there are legal things that keep their hands tied to a certain
sure. I
degree
mean,
as
there
well.
are certain things that can't be discussed
Sure.
in a public forum like that, and we obviously respect that.
Sure. And there are things that that you can ask that you're not going to get on the record. You're not going to get an answer on the record, on a lot of things. And that's my point is, well, that's to be expected. But then again, if you want people to say, oh, we want to change from status quo, then you're probably going to have to come out and say, hey, I'm willing to sort of to break, with that theory and actually sort of, I think they're trying to stay above the fray, and generally that's a smart move, because it kind of is. The old saying is that everybody ends up with mud on them and nobody looks good. If you get drawn into the mud fight, even if your intentions are to be clean and above the fray, it doesn't matter. You're going to end up with mud on you. And before you know it, nobody can really, they just look and say, each candidate looks like they're about the same kind of dirty with the same kind of mud on them. So they end up looking all the same anyway.
Well, they do. And I think especially with the race for governor, we're going to see a whole lot of mudslinging. And Ty, and if you're watching the video on Hobbs America or the YouTube channel or Facebook, Ty was nice enough to hand the phone over, and Deb Holland has already said, I'm the candidate, so send me money.
Yeah, it said $15 or more would be the offering that she was looking for, but she declared herself the winner. I don't think it's been, Bregman hasn't said anything yet.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, guys. I just wanted to let you know I was handed some sheets that say that we have Lea County Courthouse, Norlee, Lovington Schools, Maljamar, early and absentee votes all represented in the totals that I have. I can start from the top and go down, or from the bottom with our county and go up. What do you think?
Let's go ahead and let's just take it from the top. And again, this is the courthouse, the schools, Maljamar, and early and absentee, right?
That's right. Okay, so for Senator Lujan has 429 votes. And again, this is Lea County voting only. Right. All right. So Lujan with 429, Matt Dodson with 110. For U.S. Representative District 1, Cunningham has 231 votes. Orozco, 28. For, let's see. All right, for U.S. Representative District 2, Vasquez, unopposed, 74. For U.S. Representative District 3, Martin Zamora, Republican, unopposed, 1,824.
And if you could, qualify Republican, Democrat, if you would, please.
Yes, I will. Okay, Zamora, Republican, and Vasquez was Democrat.
Right.
And now U.S. Representative District 3, Democrat, Fernandez, Teresa Ledger Fernandez, 395 votes. She's unopposed. For Governor, Republican, Gregory Hull, Republican, 709. Doug Turner, 1,511. And Duke Rodriguez, 309. So by about a 2-to-1 margin, Turner's the early favorite, at least with these 5 considered precincts or polling places counted. Okay. Moving on. For Governor, Democrat, Holland, 364. Bregman, 180. Lieutenant Governor, Republican, David Gallegos, 2,110. And Manny Lardizabal, 72. And Dunn with 361. So not surprising that in his home county that Gallegos would be leading by such a great degree. For Democrat Lieutenant Governor, hey, you got more. Hey, all right, thank you. Excellent. All right, I got even. Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you.
Get out your eraser, TJ.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
using a
it's
pen.
fine. It's fine. This was just a separate one. We'll go over that in just a few minutes.
You got a
Okay, here
veto
we go.
pen too?
No, I'm not. I'm barely allowed the pen I've got.
When it rains, it pours. Right.
And we do have rain coming in, so we may be on weather watch tonight before long too.
Oh boy. All right. For Lieutenant Governor, Democrat, Maggie Toulouse Oliver, 385. Harold Pope Jr., 136. Secretary of State, Republican, Goolsbee is unopposed, 2,081. For Secretary of State, Democrat, 2 in the race, Catherine Clark, 245 votes, and Amanda Askin, 270. For Attorney General, Republican, Samuel Kane, unopposed, 2,073. For Attorney General, Democrat, Raul Torres is also unopposed, 479. State Auditor, Republican, is, it was unresolved write-in, 691. Okay. Yeah, I do not have a name on that. For Democrat, State Auditor, Joseph Maestas, unopposed, 462. For Republican, State Treasurer, again, that is simply a party. It's an unresolved write-in, 684 votes. Democrat for State Treasurer, Laura Montoya, unopposed, 465. For Commissioner of Public Lands, Republican, Michael Jack Perry, unopposed, 2,089. For Democrat Commissioner of Public Lands, Juan Sanchez, 283. Juan de Jesus Sanchez. Matthew McQueen, 165. And Jonas Moya, 71. For Republican State Representative District 55, Catherine Brown, Republican, she is unopposed, 81. And for State Representative District 61, Republican Randall Pettigrew, unopposed, 613 votes. Then another unopposed, State Representative District 62, Elaine Sena Cortez, 1,206 votes. Now we come to State Representative District 66, Republican, and this is the one where Lea County has a representative, and it's Leanne Gandy. You see Dan Lewis's name first on the ballot, and he has 134 votes. Then Leanne Gandy, whose official address is Tatum. She explained that after she resigned from the superintendent of Lovington Schools, that she and her husband moved, and their land is located and their address is located in Tatum. So Gandy has 286 votes. And then Trinidad Malone, 18. So Gandy's leading, at least in Lea County voting there. And
a lot of that will come down to Eddy County, I think.
Yeah,
at the end of it.
because it's a very small part of just the northern part of Lea County that falls within that District 66, along with Eddy and part of Chaves County, I believe, too. All right, so Judge, Court of Appeals. Do you want the Court of Appeals?
No, let's just go
Let's
ahead.
go to
and
Magistrate Judge.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get down to Magistrate Judge.
All right. Now, Magistrate Judge Division 1, Republican Clipper Miller is unopposed, and he's got 792 votes. But then Magistrate Judge Division 2 is the race where we have incumbent Judge Willie Henry along with 2 challengers. And you see Joanne Zaragoza Miller first on the ballot, and she has 78 votes. Willie Henry has 83. And Sharon Payne has 36. Then for Democrat Magistrate Judge Division 2, Boris Dwayne Smith is unopposed, and that's who the winner of the Republican race will face in November, and he's got 85 votes. Magistrate Judge Division 3, Jimmy Jones, unopposed, 461 votes.
Who's that?
I don't know. I've never met the guy.
Magistrate Judge Division 4, Keith Clayton, also unopposed. He's got 867 votes. He's Republican. All right, that brings us to the sheriff's race. And in the Republican, John Martinez, 484 votes. Mark Rhodes, 1,584 votes. Then Michael Thomas with 491 votes. Then you have Republican County Assessor Ava Binge, unopposed. She's got 2,186 votes. Then County Commissioner District 2, Republican, unopposed, Bradley Weber with 529 votes. Then the Republican County Commissioner District 3 race with Jeff Lee, first on the ballot, has 74 votes. Then Jennifer Grasham has 253 votes. And Brian Pointer has 304 votes. So the voting there, fairly close. And then finally, the probate judge, Republican Sandra Goad with 1,353, and Vivian Flemons with 1,083. Another close one.
That is very close. So we do have a lot of very close, the contested races, and some of these, the numbers are going to swing wildly as especially as the Hobbs numbers come in these contested races. Magistrate Division 2 is, of course, is Hobbs for the majority of that. So that number going to swing, I would think, pretty wildly. Commission 3, also a Hobbs district. Those numbers, pretty reflective. I'm surprised there's actually quite that many with nearly 700 there. So I think those numbers, we're going to see those bump significantly too. And as the Hobbs district and the Hobbs boxes start coming in, I think probate judge and sheriff will see those numbers swing pretty good as well between now and then. Would you agree with that, Dawn?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, geography has a lot to do, with this.
Geography and population. So,
That's right. Population within those areas, those geographic areas, about to say.
Well, a lot to discuss and digest there. It's 8/23 election night, primary election night, 2026. With Time Friend, I'm TJ Miracle, Dawn Morgan at the Lea County Courthouse. Let's go ahead and take a quick time out and see what's going on around the world with MetroSource 24/7 News and NBC. And we'll return with more Election Central on Z94, KZOR, and the entire Noalmark News Network.
Today's best music mix. Z94. KZOR Hobbs.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carton. Polls are closing in New Jersey. It's one of the 6 states holding primary elections for the U.S. House, Senate, and governor today. Polls in Iowa, New Mexico, and South Dakota close next, followed by Montana and California later. And the Golden State is getting a lot of national attention. That's because 2 Republicans have made some inroads in the reliably blue state. Fox News contributor Steve Hilton for governor and reality TV star Spencer Pratt for mayor. Elsewhere, Democrats in Iowa are looking to flip the Senate seat being vacated by retiring Republican Joni Ernst. President Trump is dismissing reports claiming U.S.-Iran negotiations have stalled. The president pushed back on the claims with a post on Truth Social where he called the reports false and erroneous. His comments follow reporting from Iranian state media on Monday that Tehran would stop exchanging messages with the U.S. through intermediaries over accusations of a ceasefire violation. Police in California are continuing crisis negotiations as they deal with an active bomb threat and hostage situation inside Chase Bank in downtown Bakersfield. Police say there are an unknown number of people in the bank and added the man apparently has a bomb strapped to his body. Sergeant Eric Celadon of the Bakersfield Police.
An unidentified male subject entered the bank and is currently barricaded with an unknown number of members of our community. This is a very active scene.
Officials said one hostage has been released, but everyone else remains inside the building and in good health. Bakersfield is in central California. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer isn't saying if he stands by embattled U.S. Senate Democrat candidate Graham Plattner. Plattner is widely expected to win his primary in Maine and face incumbent Republican Senator Susan Collins. But Plattner has faced several controversies, including a chest tattoo that resembles a Nazi symbol. Most recently, reports he engaged in extramarital sexting on a controversial dating app. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-2013 or biglou.com.
It's me, Sammy Sludge. I'm the sludge inside your pipes, your toilet pipes, bathroom sink pipes, even your kitchen sink pipe. I'm inside and outside causing all sorts of problems. Plumbing problems? Call the Master. Master Plumbers, serving households in Lea County and West Texas for over 20 years. Tell Sammy Sludge you called the Master. Master Plumbers, 397-9385.
A trusted name in roofing is now under new management and new ownership. Introducing Moreno Premier Roofing, built on over 40 years of experience, delivering dependable service, quality, workmanship, and lasting results. Moreno Premier Roofing provides roofing solutions for residential and commercial properties with a commitment to doing the job right the first time. Call today to schedule your estimate, 575-396-7182, 575-396-7182. Moreno Premier Roofing.
If you're a renter, you may never know why your landlord starts lawn care at 7 a.m. every stinking Sunday, or why your car is the goal line for the neighbor kids' soccer games. You may also not know State Farm can save you hundreds by combining your auto and renter's insurance. So protect your car and your stuff with one good neighbor, your State Farm agent. It could save you time and money. Contact State Farm agent David Witten today in Hobbs or Levington.
Kenzie Plumbing, don't wait. Call 397-3218.
Plumbing problems like a clogged drain? Call Kinsey Plumbing, because right now you can have your drain cleared for $39. $39 for any one drain. Plus, Kinsey Plumbing will provide a free camera inspection at no cost. $39 drain cleaning. Call Kinsey Plumbing, 397-3218. Hurry, this offer won't last long. Reminder, Kinsey Plumbing will meet or beat any competitor's plumbing price.
Lasco Construction is a proud partner in education in Lea County. Lasco Construction is your hometown construction company. Lasco Construction encourages you and business owners to support Tatum, Jow, Lovington, Eunice, and Hobbs businesses. Buy as much as you can locally, which is why Lasco Construction always supports the youth of Lea County. Lasco Construction supports you. Call 393-9161 for all your construction needs. Support your community.
When everyone's trying to decide what to do for dinner and no one can agree, there's one place that always brings you back together. Pizza Inn. Hot, fresh pizza made just the way you like it. It's more than dinner. It's a moment to slow down, sit close, and reconnect. And when you can't make it in, bring the party home with all your Pizza Inn favorites, because family night just got better. Whether it's family night, game night, or just because, Pizza Inn brings your family back to the table. Pizza Inn, 1943 North Grimes in Hobbs.
Did you hear? Allstate car insurance now costs even less. So when you bundle with home, you can save even more. Check Allstate first to bundle and save with a new lower auto rate. You're in good hands with Allstate. Not available in every state. Only applicable for new auto insurance business. Rates will vary by several factors, including how you purchase the policy. Potential savings may vary. Allstate North American Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Relentless in the face of every challenge, American men provide for, teach, and lead the way for the next generation. Fathers, tradesmen, and working cowboys. These are the men who build our nation and leave a legacy that endures. They are the faces of American grit, and above all else, they are fathers. This Father's Day, visit your local Boot Barn to find a gift worthy of their grit. Boot Barn. Unwrap the West.
Welcome back to Election Central 2026, the primary edition on Z94, KZOR, and the Noalmark News Network. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Pizza Inn, Kinsey Plumbing, IPS Incorporated, and J&J Rentals. Also a presentation of Master Plumbers, the Lea County Clerk's Office, State Farm Insurance Agent David Witten, Moreno Premier Roofing, and Lasco Construction. With Dawn Morgan live at the Lea County Courthouse in Election Central, I'm TJ Miracle alongside Ty Friend. Thank you for being with us tonight as we continue to analyze both state numbers, and we've started getting some local numbers in as well. Election Central here on Z94 KZOR. Thanks for being with us this evening as we continue our conversations and discussions. So we've gotten the first round of numbers in. They included the Lea County Courthouse, the Maljamar Community Center, the Lovington Schools, the early and the absentee ballots. So Ty, Dawn, anything in the initial numbers that have come out that really kind of stand out to either one of you?
Go ahead, Dawn.
Okay, I was actually looking back over this list as well. And in addition to those precincts that you just mentioned, they also indicated to me a few minutes ago that the Yucca Building Fairgrounds are included in the vote, the totals that just gave to you a little while ago. They double checked, and the updated numbers are no different. So it does represent those districts I told you about: the courthouse, Norlee, Lovington Schools, Maljamar, the early absentee, plus the fairgrounds. And I think that's it. I think it's interesting. We have not had the Tatum or the Caprock come in yet, and that should change.
It's a long way to Caprock.
Yeah, it is. And that should change the numbers for that District 66 race a little bit, although it looks like Leanne Gandy, our home county gal, has the lead, as you would hope and expect, at least in Lea County voting. So that could change things. The Lea County Road Department, which actually is in Hobbs, has yet to come in. And so the Hobbs, of course, you're going to see those numbers jump around a lot more for in the races that everybody, gets to vote for: the sheriff, the probate judge, that it's not just a division such as with the judge, or an area or a district, like for the commissioners. So the Hobbs numbers, when they come in, should change, quite a bit of some of these numbers. But for the voting for northern Lea County stuff, we have almost all those in, except for Caprock and Tatum. All of the northern part of Lea County are represented in those numbers that I just gave you, including early and absentee. And more early absentee voting has been a really reliable predictor of what the final voting is in almost all the races, except for just the very closest ones that were just literally a handful of votes difference. In a couple of the last countywide voting races, it's been a pretty good predictor looking at early and absentee. So it could be interesting.
Well, it certainly could. Let me let's see if I can get the Secretary of State's website to pull up, and we'll look at those 66 numbers, see if anything other than the Lea County numbers have come in yet.
I was looking at just while you're looking at those, TJ, that sheriff's race. I mean, no offense to Mr. Rhodes with his big lead, but I was kind of surprised that the big numbers in that one. Of course, Martinez and Thomas are pretty close to 500 each, but boy, Rhodes 1,584. Of course, he's connected with Mr. Helton. I don't know if you call him a tag team there, but they were mentioned in a lot of their advertising for this election. But I was kind of surprised to see that wasn't a little closer than what it is at this point. But there's a lot of precincts still left out there, though.
Well, there certainly is. And looking at 66 with what's come in from the slice of Chavez and Eddy County that is included in that, Leanne Gandy right now does have the lead, 413 to 268. Those are including the Lea County numbers, and I guess is some of them from I don't want to speculate where they've come in from yet, but she holds the 57 to 37 lead over her nearest competitor right now, Dan Lewis. Now, as more of the numbers from around Artesia come in, I would expect to see that change. But right now, Leanne Gandy with the lead in those numbers, at least district wide.
It's definitely looking good there. Go ahead, Ty.
The only thing that's going to hurt, though, those two guys are both from Artesia, so that could split some votes, although Lewis is kind of leading between those two guys with the precinct numbers that Don already gave us. But that might cut some of the Artesia votes split two ways, which could actually help Gandy towards the end.
Well, it could, and that's something worth mentioning in a lot of these races, especially where you've got multiple candidates, where you've got three-person races, be it local races like in Commissioner District 3 or some of the governor on the Republican side. Some of those numbers, you can't assume that all the numbers would have gone to one particular candidate, obviously, but you do have some votes splitting there that, at the end of the day might affect the outcome.
Yeah, we talk about look at Hall, the Hall Turner race too. I mean, when you talk about Turner, the 1,511 that you mentioned, Don, that's about double what Hall has here in this area. I think the Lea County voters in the Republican primary were kind of looking towards his business background. He did run for election before. He is pretty heavy in communications and things of that nature. Of course, Hall is a politician. Just barely gave up his mayorship there in Rio Rancho just about a couple weeks ago. Rodriguez was a agency head, human services back during Gary Johnson. A couple of these guys do have connections to Gary Johnson, including Rodriguez too, who was he said that he was the heir apparent that he was asked actually by former Governor Johnson to run in this race, which I don't know if he kind of went a little bit far with that, but still. Do you think the business acumen of Turner really put him ahead this much in the numbers right now?
Well, I think that's certainly a good thing. I mean, he has an awful lot of private, sector experience, and he actually got his feet wet politically as a 20-something-year-old in Gary Johnson's first campaign. And they were and are friends apparently. So Doug did name drop him a couple of times, whereas Gregory Hall is trying name dropping the presidents. But Doug Turner, I think people do see that that private sector experience. He also apparently has a pretty good amount of support, I'm told, among Republican business owners, oil and gas support in southeast New Mexico as well for Turner, although Hull reportedly, has done some pretty good fundraising for himself as well. But Hull, it's interesting, Hull has taken a very much more sort of a grassroots approach. He's been roaming the southern part of the state doing his campaigning in a small pickup truck with just his campaign manager and a college intern who's coordinating his dates. And he's been doing a mixture of fundraising and then media contacts and interviews and then public stuff. So he has kind of what I'm saying is a kind of a lower key. Maybe it looks like it's less funded, but maybe that's just the style that he is a much more of a roll up his sleeves and get in there budget. Whereas Doug Turner has kind of presented more of a private businessman. Let's run New Mexico like a business, kind of in that same vein as former Governor Gary Johnson.
And Turner actually jumped in late too. I mean, February, and he earned like $500,000 in just 2 months of campaigning. So I mean, he was a quick. And you mentioned oil and gas, and again, you were right exactly about the predominant money is where that's coming from.
Yeah, and good to see. Also, since we're talking about that kind of thing, I think that Leanne Gandy may end up surprising some folks in that. I think not only does she have the name recognition, okay, Gandhi Oil, Gandhi Dairy, Gandhi the name, but she, in her own right, she could have any last name. If you know her, she's an impressive person. She's her intellect, the way that she communicates, she's a good listener. She speaks very, she pauses and thinks before she talks, and she says she doesn't talk a lot. She's pretty precise. She answers exactly what you ask her. And she's a very sharp lady. She's intelligent, and yet she doesn't come across as remote. She's very likable. She checks off a lot of boxes with her education background, with her family's oil and gas and ranching, agricultural. And then, so she's got education, oil and gas, ranching, agricultural, and business. And so it's very, and she has worked in a lot of in quasi-government areas in terms of consulting and working and lobbying legislatively. So she's already got some government experience. So, I think that, she may very well not just be carrying Lea County, but ultimately she may get that nomination and be on the ballot. We'll see.
That is very possible. Other updates from around the state, and these do include at least the partial Lea County numbers that we have right now. Let me pop it up to the top right here. I know another big race of interest, of course, the lieutenant governor's race with Senator David Gallegos running there. Right now, statewide, they have approximately 14% of the vote in, and right now, Gallegos is leading in the statewide polls. He's got right at 50% of the vote with 30,786. That's coming in with what's being reported statewide right now. He hasn't really stretched out over Aubrey Dunn yet, who's second with 23,549, as David's numbers just jumped to right over 32,000. So that number staying pretty consistent, at least through the last couple updates, with Manny Lardizabal trailing with just under 8,000 votes. So that's on the statewide run anywhere. Really, the governor's race statewide, what we're seeing there, about what we are seeing here in Lea County with Greg Hull, 48%, Doug Turner, 36%, Duke Rodriguez with 16%. If you want the actual numbers on that, 32,500 for Hull, 24,600 for Turner, and Rodriguez with about 11,000. Those are rough numbers.
And I see some more updates that have come in. I'm not sure exactly where these, which of the polling places are represented in these, but I am seeing updated numbers Lea County voting wise that echo some of what you're saying. I'm just going to look at the races
let's
of
just
note.
look at the contested.
The contested races and the ones that involve Lea County folks. For governor, now Turner has 1,511 votes, and Hull has 709, and Rodriguez was 309. That may not have changed.
That's the same, yes.
Is that the same for that one? Okay. And then, but I did see something else. Let's see, is Gallegos still 2,110? Is that more? I think that's more than I had. Is it? Okay, 72 and 561.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and 561. Okay, all right, then those are the same then. Okay.
Hey, TJ, I was going to ask you, you heard about that crazy jungle primary that they have going on in L.A. with where you get to vote for anybody you want, and
that is interesting. And then the top two make the general regardless of party. That's the entire state of California. It's an interesting way of doing things. Of course, in Nevada, they have an option where you can vote none of the above, and that's kind of interesting. Of course, you mentioned the L.A. one specifically. A reality TV star running for mayor against their sitting mayor. So an interesting race there in the nation's second largest city. It'll be interesting to kind of see how that one comes out.
We're not going to wait till those results come in, right?
No. We don't care anything about Los Angeles.
We can fly Don out there and she gets the results. Going to go to Hollywood, Don.
Oh, boy.
Instead of Lovington.
Well, and I don't even get to stay up here overnight because at some point they will actually shut down the offices and make me sleep at least outside. If not in the KZOR cruiser, at least on the front porch steps, right?
I'm not sure that'd be real comfortable.
No, I don't think so. So yeah, I do want to come home tonight. Definitely.
Going back to the Lee County Commission race, pretty close. We got Pointer at 304 and his Gresham with 253. What do you think that race is going to come down to? I mean, very close right now with about 40-some votes between them or so.
Yeah, when more of the Hobbs precincts come in, that's going to be that'll be interesting. I'll be surprised.
With that being central and
Yeah.
northern Hobbs, I would
Yeah.
expect the Hobbs votes the Hobbs boxes to wildly. I don't know if it'll change the percentages any, but I think it will definitely change some
Hobbs
other
is.
things.
We should know anytime.
Okay, thank you. I was just being told that most of the Hobbs precincts are in the building. They are going to be uploading those here in a while. So we should have Hobbs numbers added to what we already know, and that's gonna probably tell the tale. When we get Hobbs, we'll be able to pretty much call everything.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, with the exception of, unless it is extremely close, once the Hobbs boxes are counted, it'll probably pretty much be, all over on the contested races, unless you've got something within 300-400 votes.
Of course, that Henry Miller Zaragoza race, magistrate judge 2, the last numbers you gave us, just a 5-vote difference between Henry and the incumbent and Miller. What counts? What do we say of the possibility of a recount? That's 1% less if it does get down to that close of a race. Isn't that usually what the recount numbers will have to be if it's a 1% difference between the two?
I'm not sure if that's everything, and I'm not sure if the judge races have a different rule. I'm not saying that they do, but something tells me that it might be different for races for judge, for magistrate, and higher. It may be different in those races. I'm not sure. That's a question for the county clerk, and I don't have access to her right now, but I think it's a good question, Todd.
Oh, there's several going down to the wire, it looks like, tonight, though.
Well, we have a 42% for Henry right now, 40% for Zaragoza Miller, 40 Pointer with 48%, Gresham with 40, and here we go. Hey, thank you very much. All right, hot off the press, thank you very much, ma'am. Now, these results add in everything we had, plus Lee County Road Department, the Core, Lee County Annex Office Complex, Hobbs Teen Center, Hobbs City Hall Annex, and Hobbs Schools Training Facility. All right. So let me just go quickly and look past this first page or so and get down. Okay, let's start with Governor Republican. Do we agree that that's a good starting place?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so for Lee County voting, right now, Hull has 1,169. Turner has 2,449. Rodriguez has 537. Okay, sorry, we're getting some noisiness there outside there. I can't control that. I can maybe turn my mic down just a little bit so I can maybe get less of that background noise. Sorry, guys.
You can play some patriotic music in the background if you want.
I'll see what I can find.
Okay, now turning the page, Howland, 595 votes, and Bregman with 311. And the Lieutenant Governor, Gallegos now with 3,401. Larzbal and has 148. Dunn with 625. Lieutenant Governor Democrat, Toulouse Oliver with 625. Pope with 247.
Yeah, I think that one's already been called pretty much.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right. Let's see. Looking down. Next page over. And I think we can even go on to the next page. Now we come up to state representative. All right, let's go ahead and look at District 66 and see if those numbers changed much. Not much, because really we're still not seeing Caprock and Tatum which are the only things that are going to change those northern Lee County numbers, I think. We still have Lewis with 184, Gandy with 460, Malone with 23.
So a few votes coming in. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Okay, let's go over to Magistrate Judge Division 2. Joanne Zaragoza Miller with 162. Willie Henry, the sitting judge, with 207. And Sharon Payne with 76.
That's changed. We had a leader change on that one.
No, it's still
Henry's
still in the lead.
Well, I thought she was ahead first. Okay. Well, 83-78. My bad.
Yeah. No, it's
close.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It
very
is close.
close.
That one's still fairly close, though.
And Payne 76. That's a pretty big number too. To have, with the three people in the race, that kind of changes the complexion of this one.
It very well does. Yeah.
All right, for County Sheriff. Now Rhodes has opened up, I think, a bigger lead, but you have John Martinez with 778, Mark Rhodes with 2,606, and Michael Thomas with 850. Looking down for County Commissioner District 3, Lee with 169, Grasham with 401, and Brian Pointer with 495. And then for probate judge, you have Goad with 2,367 and Flemons with 1,631.
All right, so that's the latest numbers on our local contested races again. For Magistrate Judge Division 2, and this is the courthouse, also Maljamar, Lovington Schools, your early and absentee balloting, the Lee County Fairgrounds, the Lee County Road Department, the Corps, the Lee County Office Complex, the Teen Center, City Hall, and the Hobbs Schools box. So Magistrate Division 2, right now it is Willie Henry, the incumbent, leading with 207 votes over Joanne Zaragoza Miller with 162 and Sharon Payne with 76. Lee County Sheriff's race, as Mark Rhodes has extended his lead. He has 2,606 votes. Martinez with 778 and Thomas with 850. Lee County Commission District 3, with Brian Pointer in the lead with 495, Jennifer Grasham with 401, and then Jeff Lee with 169. And probate judge, the incumbent Sandra Goad with 2,367, and Vivian Flemons with 1,631. Did I get those right?
You did, yeah. And the reason why I give the totals the way I do is because that's how they're listed on the ballot. That's what
Right.
I'm looking at as position. So it's good for you to go back behind and then recap from the position of who's leading, who's second, third, so forth.
Did you happen to get any from the Secretary of State Democrats or the? Well, that was another one that was.
Yeah.
And then you
Let me
also
look
had
back.
the one other position there.
Now, we don't have all the Hobbs boxes in, if I'm correct here.
That's right.
Don, did that number did not include the event center? Am I right on that?
Let's see. I think.
It's a little strange that they have a voting place at the event center. They have another one at the Corps and the Lee County Road Department. They're all
Right.
within 6 blocks of each other.
Yeah, and there's not a separate one listed on this this list of polling places. There is not a Lee County Event Center located that's listed. I think they shifted that over to the Corps, maybe because of the construction going on at the event center. I think that
is a
maybe did.
possibility.
Yeah.
I know the list that we got earlier today from Lee County. Let me go pull that back up if I can get the computer to cooperate. Of course, computers don't like to cooperate. And let's see. There is the Corps. And no, they did not have the event center listed.
Right.
So
And
so they
I
shifted
think
that over to the Corps.
They did. Right.
So that was just an oopsie on my part. So that is all the Hobbs boxes in there.
What's outstanding, we have Caprock still outstanding. Now, one of my list has, I just noticed this latest list that they had given me actually had Tatum City Hall highlighted as well. That would indicate to me that actually Tatum City Hall is included in those numbers. That's why there was a little bit of shift in the district representative 66
race. Yeah. So
That's
in other
why,
words,
but
we're waiting on Eunice,
Caprock-
Jowl, and Caprock.
That's right. Caprock, Monument, Eunice, and Jowl. Four of them still out.
Let me mention this too, Don. The numbers you just gave us are exactly the same that NBC News has, with 85.8% votes in. So exactly the same numbers you just gave us have been nationally reported. So I think they're pretty close to what the numbers are in Lee County. I mean, I think you're right on top of it.
Yeah, and even though anybody can vote anywhere, you gotta feel like that the population centers are still gonna draw, more voters. And so when you look at Monument, you look at Eunice, you look at Jowl, you look at Caprock, do those voices count? Do those voices count? Absolutely. But in terms of the number of votes out and the number of precincts out, it's does not going to represent that much. And it can only really affect the very closest of the races, and we don't really have any more that are, that are that close. I don't think.
Yeah, that's about 14% of votes out right now in Lee County.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
it's not going to.
I don't think
change
we're going to
anything.
change a whole
Mm-mm.
lot, just as much. And other numbers coming in. Let's take a look at the 66 numbers coming in from across District 66 right now. Let me see what they've got reported here. And this is from the Secretary of State's website. They have nothing fully in, but they've got 10 of 27 partially in. So right now, Leanne Gandy is leading that race 591 to 323 as I look at our numbers. So not a whole lot more numbers, slightly more, but Leanne Miss Gandy is kind of extended her lead there. Now there's still a lot of boxes, I'm sure, out. And for some reason, Eddy County seems to be the slowest county other than Bernalillo in this state. So we may not know the winner of this one till, July 4th, just because we're waiting on those boxes and the time that Eddy County seems to take on those. And Chavez County tends to be a little slow too. So that number can still fluctuate fairly wildly, but Leanne has built her lead in that race so far. It'll be interesting to see again if the two Artesia candidates kind of suck enough numbers off of each other to let the Lee County candidate in Leanne Gandy slide into that position.
Yeah, I think I just have this feeling that what we're seeing right now is probably how things are going to turn out in every race that's just Lee County or, mostly Lee County. I think Gandy will end up carrying that. I think it's very possible that that David Gallegos, may be the Republican candidate for lieutenant governor. We'll have to see.
I will think so. Let me go pull
yeah.
that one up on the state and see what they have in there thus far. Okay, and so right now, Lieutenant Governor, David showing 35,140 votes to Dunn's 26,320, with Lardazabal with 8,526. So really the numbers, even though they continue to grow vote total wise, the overall percentages have not really changed in even with more numbers coming in from around the state.
Yeah. Well, I think my gut instinct tells me that what we're looking at right here is pretty much, I think, is how the vote totals will change. Percentages will change a little bit here with the other votes coming in. But I think we're probably looking at how Lee County votes in all of these races. I think but that's just conjecture. It is certainly, it's just gut feeling, and looking at the numbers and the precincts and the population within those vote polling places.
Sorry, Don, and we will break that down some more as we come up. We're coming up on the top of the hour, so we need to take a time out. This is Election Central on KZOR.
Fox News, I'm Ted Linder. The Supreme Court's going to allow Alabama to use a congressional map favoring Republicans in this year's elections. The decision blocks a lower court ruling that said the redistricting plan intentionally discriminates against black people. The justices granted the state's emergency appeal to use a map it adopted 3 years ago that has a majority black population in just one of its 7 congressional districts. The White House Correspondents Association has rescheduled its annual dinner for July 24th. This after April's shooting targeting President Trump. Fox's Jackie Heinrich reports it'll be held at the Waldorf Astoria in Washington.
It'll be considerably smaller than our regular venue. It was just the simplest choice to throw something together in 5 weeks' time that usually takes us a year.
The suspected shooter has been charged with trying to assassinate the president. America's listening to Fox News.
It's me, Sammy Sludge. I'm the sludge inside your pipes, your toilet pipes, bathroom sink pipes, even your kitchen sink pipe. I'm inside and outside causing all sorts of problems. Plumbing problems? Call the Master. Master Plumbers, serving households in Lea County and West Texas for over 20 years. Tell Sammy Sludge you called the Master. Master Plumbers, 397-9385.
A trusted name in roofing is now under new management and new ownership. Introducing Moreno Premier Roofing. Built on over 40 years of experience, delivering dependable service, quality, workmanship, and lasting results. Moreno Premier Roofing provides roofing solutions for residential and commercial properties with a commitment to doing the job right the first time. Call today to schedule your estimate. 575-396-7182. 575-396-7182. Moreno Premier Roofing.
If you're a renter, you may never know why your landlord starts lawn care at 7 a.m. every stinking Sunday. Or why your car is the goal line for the neighbor kids' soccer games. You may also not know State Farm can save you hundreds by combining your auto and renter's insurance. So protect your car and your stuff with one good neighbor, your State Farm agent. It could save you time and money. Contact State Farm agent David Witten today in Hobbs or Levington.
Kinsey Plumbing, don't wait. Call 397-3218.
Plumbing problems like a clogged drain? Call Kinsey Plumbing, because right now you can have your drain cleared for $39. $39 for any one drain. Plus, Kinsey Plumbing will provide a free camera inspection at no cost. $39 drain cleaning. Call Kinsey Plumbing, 397-3218. Hurry, this offer won't last long. Reminder, Kinsey Plumbing will meet or beat any competitor's plumbing price.
Lasco Construction is a proud partner in education in Lea County. Lasco Construction is your hometown construction company. Lasco Construction encourages you and business owners to support Tatum, Jow, Lovington, Eunice, and Hobbs businesses. Buy as much as you can locally, which is why Lasco Construction always supports the youth of Lea County. Lasco Construction supports you. Call 393-9161 for all your construction needs. Support your community.
When everyone's trying to decide what to do for dinner and no one can agree, there's one place that always brings you back together. Pizza Inn. Hot, fresh pizza made just the way you like it. It's more than dinner. It's a moment to slow down, sit close, and reconnect. And when you can't make it in, bring the party home with all your Pizza Inn favorites, because family night just got better. Whether it's family night, game night, or just because, Pizza Inn brings your family back to the table. Pizza Inn, 1943 North Grimes in Hobbs.
There's so much beauty here in New Mexico.
We are enough and we can have enough.
The culture in New Mexico, it's a culture that fought for its existence.
New Mexicans are talking. Are you listening? Don't miss Past the Sopapillas, the podcast where we talk about us. Now streaming on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us to hear real talk about New Mexico. Sponsored by this station and the NMBA. Past the Sopapillas is presented by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation.
This is Election Central on Z94 KZOR Hobbs, the Z94 KZOR app, HobbsAmerica.com, and across the entire Noalmark Broadcasting News Network. I'm TJ Miracle alongside Ty Friend and Election Central Don Morgan live at the Lea County Courthouse. Election Central is brought to you by Lasco Construction, Moreno Premier Roofing, David Witten State Farm, the Lea County Clerk's Office, and Master Plumbers. Also brought to you by J&J Rentals, Pizza Inn, IPS Incorporated, and Kinsey Plumbing. So as we continue our coverage of Lea County election results, still a few boxes out there as we are getting closer and closer. Some of these races, though, team, I think we we can pretty safely call on the county-wide races. Would before I jump off there, would you guys maybe agree with that on especially at least the sheriff's race and probably the probate judge race? I think we can probably call those.
Yeah, I think so.
So if these numbers and these totals,
I'll abstain.
You'll abstain?
You'll abstain. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ty.
Well, you look at the magistrate judge Division 2 race, and it's interesting right now, Willie Henry with 47% of the vote. Miller has 36% and Payne has 17%. Together, Miller and Payne have 53% of the vote, enough to unseat Henry, but neither one of them with enough juice to do it by themselves. So that's what a 3-person race can sometimes do. You have to wonder, okay, where did that, did the 17% that Sharon Payne has right now, did that come directly, did that siphon off of Henry's, or would it have been, you look at those 3-person races and you can't help but wonder, how did that third person in there, whether it's the 17% or the 36%, how did that change? If it had been a 2-person race, would that be different? Would the outcome be different? I don't know.
And
that's fairly close. Even closer, though, is County Commission District 3 with Gresham. She's got 38% of the vote right now. Pointer has 46% of the vote. But you look at the outstanding is 18. Jeff Lee with that 18%. So,
Yeah, and Pointer right now with that 94-point lead, or 94 vote. Lead over Gresham. So how would that shake out? Now,
exactly.
on the flip side, though, you look at the sheriff's race where you've got Thomas and Martinez. Thomas with 850 votes, Martinez with 778. Even combined, that does not equal Rhodes' 2606. So
yeah, 62% of the vote.
Yeah, I'm confident calling that sheriff's race for sure for Mark Rhodes. He will take over in January as the new sheriff. Obviously, we've still got to go through the general election, but I believe Mark Rhodes will probably be the next sheriff of Lea County. Probate judge, I don't think there's enough votes out there outstanding to swing that one, and it looks like Sandra Goad will be reelected to another 4-year term as Lea County probate judge over Vivian Flemons.
Yeah, because that's an 18% margin right now, and I think we only have about, what Ty said, 14% of the vote outstanding. And so that's not enough. If all of those votes went to Flemons, that still wouldn't be enough to swing it over Ted Goat.
Yeah, I seriously doubt that there's 800 votes outstanding between those boxes. And with the depending on, I'd have to go for sure look at where all of the boundary lines are, but I don't think we're going to see the Commission 3 race move much either, or the magistrate race move a whole lot. Obviously with the voting convenience centers, that can change the numbers. Again, we live in Commission District 3, and obviously that means we live in Hobbs. I voted before in Jowl. So there may still be an odd and an end out there, but I don't think it's going to be enough to change most of those races. I'm not completely comfortable calling Magistrate 2 yet, or Commission District 3 yet, but I am comfortable calling the probate judge and the sheriff's race for sure.
Yeah, Henry has an 11% margin now over Miller, and that's still fairly tight with a number of votes out. I'm still going to say that I think we're looking at what eventually will be the winner. The vote totals will change, the percentages will change a little bit, but I think right now all of the projected winners of leaders in each of the races that are contested, I think that's exactly how it will go. I think the winner that right now, the leading percentage and vote getter right now in each of those races is going to be the winner. That's what I think, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that. And while we're at break, Ty, you were actually looking at some of the other state numbers, and something political watchers have been taking a close eye on is an Otero County race, because it actually involves the chair of the New Mexico Republican Party.
Yeah, she a judge actually took her out of her position because she's actually running for county commissioner. She's the incumbent, and she was also quasi-endorsing candidates by picking races on Facebook, I believe it was. And a couple of candidates didn't like that she's a current GOP party chairman for the state, and she's also running, and she's also quite quasi-endorsing candidates. So it's a Republican rule in the party. The question is whether it's a legal issue or not. And the one state judge said that it was, that you'd have to step down from the GOP. Earlier today, Republican Party did put that into an appeal to the Supreme Court. I don't think there's been a ruling yet. I've been checking up till now, and I haven't seen one. She is in that race for county commissioner. That includes Alamogordo, Cloudcroft, and Tularosa areas, and some other small areas in that way. Jonathan Emery, who she's running against, the last count we had, he was up 51-49 over Amy Barela, who is the GOP chairman we're talking about. Again, that appeal has not been decided yet, so it's kind of a moot point at this point, especially if she loses this election. I should mention, though, even though down 2%, only 1,618 votes have been reported, which is way below their registered Republicans, close to 13,000 in that area. So, again, that's for some reason they're way behind on their vote totals in Otero. But just kind of a little news item there, because I know it's been hit the news here just the last couple of days as and actually, it's Republicans that filed a lawsuit. Duke Rodriguez, who's running for governor, as we know. Dunn, who's also running for lieutenant general, attorney general for the state. Audrey Dunn, lieutenant governor, I should say. Who's running against Gallegos, we've been talking about tonight, and then one other candidate, which was Emery, who she's running against for county commission. Those three Republicans filed the lawsuit. I guess those were some of the ones that probably didn't get her endorsement for this election.
And it's funny, Don, you were mentioning earlier about the 3-person race. As you look at the governor's race, you add up Duke Rodriguez and Doug Turner, and they have over 50% combined to Hull's 47%. So did somebody like a Duke Rodriguez, did maybe he play spoiler to Doug Turner?
Yeah. Or you may think about, well, wait a minute, was it not really a Hull Turner race necessarily, 2 and 1, 1 and 2, whatever? Do you think maybe some of, would some of that support not necessarily been siphoned off by a third person?
That's true.
It's really interesting, I think. And back on the thing about the lawsuits, and I think
and I actually do have something on that, but go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't be about the lawsuits. I think the legal question is one thing, legal standing, and certainly you follow the law and you look to the law to redress and to address grievances and to fix things. But I think it should probably be a kind of a foregone conclusion that that's a bad idea to jump out there and do that kind of thing, that you shouldn't need a lawsuit slapped on you to point out that that's probably not a good idea to jump out there and do. It's as much an ethical, I think it's an ethical issue, before it's a legal issue.
And it's also, it's also a gift to the other party for the general election. You throw that out there, once they get the 2 candidates decided for the general election. If she still goes on, it's like, Democrats are saying, hey, you just gave us a freebie here.
Yeah, pretty much so. And, you were mentioning earlier about that and why is Otero County being so slow? They're normally somewhere in the middle. And I actually just got a text from my mother, of all people. Well, my parents own property in Otero County in Cloudcroft, and they have had softball size hail falling in and around Cloudcroft, especially between Cloudcroft and Mayhill, which is where the family property is. And so that may be why they're slowed down, is because of some severe weather that may be causing some issues, especially getting ballot boxes in from Cloudcroft and Mayhill and that area around there.
Snowball effect or something to that effect?
Yeah, could be. And in this case, softball size hail effect, I think would be. Just saying there'll be a plan for family to go check.
That's for you Saturday, right? You'll be up at the NMBA convention, though.
That'll be. I will be at the convention.
The governor candidates might be there too. Right?
They have all the candidates, and in case you didn't know, the NMBA convention is coming up this weekend. It's an annual convention, been doing it for years. Our sister station, Kix 103, was actually named Station of the Year. So it stays in the family, and we're very proud about that. And
It's New Mexico
the New Mexico,
Broadcasting Broadcasters Association.
Yes.
Broadcasters. So a lot of people may just be thinking, "What's NMBA? What are you
NMBA?
talking
Yeah.
about?"
A new party.
Yeah.
It could be. Yeah, well, they're supposed to have a party. We'll see what happens. But the New Mexico Broadcasters Association convention, apparently all 5 of the major gubernatorial candidates, the 3 Republican candidates and the 2 on the Democratic side, agreed to come speak at that convention as part of one of the sessions on Friday afternoon. That is not open to the public, but it'll be interesting to see if Howland shows up, because she's backed out of everything else that she's done, and so it will be interesting to see. And really, with the numbers coming in like they are, I think it's probably still too close to call, depending on where the numbers are coming in from Hull and Turner. That's one thing about the Secretary of State's website. It does not tell you, unless you get into the weeds on the county level, for sure, to see where those numbers are coming in. It is interesting to note that Turner has narrowed the deficit a little bit on Hull to right at 8,000 votes. It was up over 10,000 not too very long ago. So that race is still very much open. And again, Duke Rodriguez may very well wind up playing spoiler in that race. David Gallegos' numbers staying exactly at 50% over his challengers. So still a long way to go on that, but I'm thinking David Gallegos is probably going to be the Republican candidate for lieutenant governor at this point. Again, as I was told by 2 very wise men many years ago, never underestimate the stupidity of northern New Mexico when it comes to politics. But I think maybe David will carry that one. He's been a long time friend of the station, and I've gotten to know him personally some, and I think he's a great guy, and
TJ
will also be a great candidate.
Go back to Greg Hall, who you got, I guess, leading right now, as you mentioned, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think
statewide, not here in Lea County,
right?
But yeah,
statewide, him giving up his mayorship of Rio Rancho a couple weeks back, you think he just was expecting to having a very tough campaign heading into November, or let's just get my concentration on that election run, or do you think he's just saying, hey, it doesn't look good to have one job on the offing and then move in to try to get this other one? I mean,
there's 2 or 3 camps on that, and I think, and Don, I didn't speak to Hull when he came in, so maybe you can chime in on the personality side of this just a little bit. I know just what I've seen and what I've heard him say and when I've heard him speak, he seemed like somebody who really wanted to spend his time focused on that campaign, not focused on trying to run for governor and run the 2nd largest city in the state, because whether you like it or not, Rio, and don't tell Las Cruces and Santa Fe, but Rio Rancho is now the 2nd largest city in the state of New Mexico. And I think he wanted to focus maybe on his campaign. That's just kind of the impression that I've gotten from him, Don.
I would have to go back and listen, but we talked a little bit about that in the interview, and I would have to listen to exactly what he said and how he worded it. But that was actually that when he talked about stepping down from that, he did make mention in not so many words, but he did make mention that he wanted to focus on his run, and he needed more time to be able to get on the road and to make contact with voters, and with also with the money aspect of the campaign. If you look at his website, it's funny. Not all the candidates have a website that has their donate here quite so prominent right in the middle of the page when you pull up his and he's not apologizing for that. I mean, campaigns are about, you got to be able to fund it, right? So that's very prominent right in the middle of that, but it also takes time. It's not just money, it takes time, and time leads to more money for your campaign. So it does come down to the same thing. But yes, the short answer I think on that was generally he indicated that he wanted to really focus on the campaign and needed to do that in the final weeks of the primary to try to give himself the best chance to win the Republican race for that and be on the ballot against Haaland. I mean, he's already talking about the strategy that it's going to take against Haaland to try to beat her. So, but Turner was also forward thinking in that way as well. But yes, I think Hall was like, yeah. And he did mention just how big of a job it is to run Rio Rancho in terms of be the mayor. Now, they, of course, also, I believe they have a structure kind of like Lee County does in terms of they've got a strong mayor system, but they have they have a city manager, mayor, it complements each other. But Hull, that's a very much a claim to fame. That's partly why he's running and saying that he's qualified to run, is that he has helped build that in the last 10 years and into the second biggest city in New Mexico. And it's got a big budget and requires a lot of time and effort and management skills to keep on the right track. So he thinks that he's got a better, stronger, safer city than Albuquerque. And he's so that's kind of what some of his campaign is pinned upon.
Let me ask
maybe
you,
not bigger, but definitely safer.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Sam Bregman will endorse Holland after pretty tough campaigning against her over the last few months?
I don't know if he will, but I think she probably won't care. I think she's going to look at the numbers and think, what he got, even if some of those voters defect, and vote against her, is she in danger? I don't know. A lot of that will become on some of the political strategy. She strikes me as someone who she may listen very carefully to all of those numbers and all the voices and then decide what to do. But she kind of strikes me as a person who sort of knows her own mind, charts her own course, and is just very straightforward. And again, if you ask her that question, she might just say, well, I don't need his endorsement to win. But that's just her projection on what I think, just based on what I've seen and heard from her so far.
And with these numbers, do you think the prosecutor type style that he had, kind of a bulldog type on the campaign trail with the videos and everything else, you think that backfired on him in this one?
I don't know. I think he scored some points, but I think he scored points with voters who might have been sort of critical about her anyway. So I'm not sure. Thank you very much, by the way. Thank you very much. I'm being handed. Are these going to be it? This is final over there. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. I've got final numbers, guys.
All right. Let's go with the contested first, and then we'll run down the complete list. But let's look at those contested races that we're particularly interested in first.
Okay, let's look at how Lee County is voted in the Republican gubernatorial race. All right. Well, I'll continue to go exactly down the list the way they are listed on the ballot. Hull, 1,262. Turner, 2,681. Rodriguez, 561. So Turner easily carried Lee County. And going over to Governor Democrat, Haaland, 626. Bregman, 332. So Haaland carried Lee County, but only a 2-1 margin. Lieutenant Governor Gallegos, 3,722. Larzabal with 158. And Dunn with 658. All right. And I've got a page over 2 or 3 for sure to get to the next race that we're interested in. And that would be State Representative District 66. So Lewis with 187. Gandy with 469. Malone with 23. And then we skip over to Magistrate Judge Division 2. Miller, 162. Henry, 208. Payne, 76. Now we page over to Sheriff. Martinez, 837. Rhodes, 2,860. Thomas, 899. Then down to County Commissioner, District 3, Lee, 170. Gresham, 403. And Pointer, 496. I don't think those changed at all from the last.
They did, but it was basically
Not much.
One vote. There was in those final boxes. There was 4 votes for. That came out of those boxes.
The biggest precinct, maybe.
And for probate judge, you have Goad, 2,547. Flemons, 1,783.
All right, so this is all of the numbers from Lea County that are in the Lea County local contested races in House District 66. Again, that district encompasses parts of 3 different counties, so these numbers will still change. But if the numbers and the percentages hold, which I'm not sure they will, because we're dealing with Eddy and Chavez County here, but Leanne Gandy with the 469 to 187 and 23 lead. Gandy 469, Lewis 187, Malone with 23. Again, these are just the Lea County numbers. That number will change as the Eddy and Chavez County numbers start coming in. For Lea County Sheriff, Mark Rhodes will become the new sheriff in the general election and then take office in January, as he is victorious with 2,860 votes. Thomas was next with 899 and Martinez with 837. In County Commissioner District 3, Brian Pointer will become the new county commissioner, taking over for Gary Eatson with 496 votes to Jennifer Gresham's 403 and Jeff Lee's 170. For Magistrate Judge Division 2, Willie Henry will maintain his seat on the bench, winning with 208 votes. Joanne Zaragoza Miller second with 162, and Sharon Payne with 76. And finally, probate judge Sandra Goad reelected to the probate bench with 2,547 votes, victorious over Vivian Flemons with 1,783. Those are the Lea County contested races of note there, and that's what we've got. So, Dawn, do we want to just take it from the top?
Sure, you bet. We can
and
do that.
Then we can wrap this thing up. And it's not even 10 o'clock yet.
Hey, how about that?
This will be the first in a long time.
All right. So for U.S. Senator, let's see. Democrat first, Ben Ray Lujan, 739. Matt Dodson, 207. U.S. Representative District 2, Republican. Cunningham, 667. Orozco, 89. U.S. Representative District 2, Democrat. Vasquez, 177. U.S. Representative District 3, Republican. Zamora, 2,986. U.S. Representative District 3, Democrat. Teresa Ledger Fernandez, 653. Governor, Republican. Hull, 1,262. Turner, 2,681. Rodriguez, 561. Governor, Democrat. Howland, 626. Bregman, 332. Lieutenant Governor, Republican. Gallegos, 3,722. Larzabal, 158. Dunn, 658. Lieutenant Governor, Democrat. Toulouse Oliver, 656. Pope, 264. Secretary of State, Republican. Goolsby, 3,706. Secretary of State, Democrat. Clark, 407. Askin, 498. That's Lopez Askin, actually. Attorney General, Republican. Kane, 3,684. Attorney General, Democrat, Torres, 833. State Auditor, Democrat, Maestas, 803. State Treasurer, Democrat, Laura Montoya, 818. Commissioner of Public Lands, Republican, Perry, 3,725. Commissioner of Public Lands, Democrat, Sanchez, 526. McQueen, 262. Moya, 128. State Representative District 55, Catherine Brown, Republican, 321. State Representative District 61, Randall Pettigrew, Republican, 922. State Representative District 62, Republican, Elaine Sena Cortez, 2,231. State Representative District 66, Republican, Lewis, 187. Gandy, 469. Malone, 23. Judge of the Court of Appeals, Position 1, Houghton, Democrat, 796. District Court, 5th Judicial District, Division 5, Eileen Reardon, Republican, 3,627. Magistrate Judge, Division 1, Republican, Clipper Miller, 1,407. Magistrate Judge, Division 2, Zaragoza Miller, 162. Henry, 208. Payne, 76. Magistrate Judge, Division 2, Boris Dwayne Smith, Democrat, 167. Magistrate Judge, Division 3, Jimmy Jones, Republican, 1,118. Magistrate Judge, Division 4, Republican, Keith Clayton, 1,138. County Sheriff, Republican, Martinez, 837. Rhodes, 2,860. Thomas, 899. Assessor, Binge, Republican, 3,848. Commissioner, District 2, Brad Weber, Republican, 1,030. County Commissioner, District 3, Lee, 170. Gresham, 403. Pointer, 496. I think that probably also has the distinction of being the closest county vote, the race, at least countywide voting, that is the closest, with 93 vote difference there. Is that right? I'll look back for sure. And one more, probate judge, Republican, Goad, 2,547. Flemons, 1,783. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that 93 vote margin is the closest for any of the county, the contested races.
And the Magistrate Judge Division 2 a little bit closer than that, with Henry 208, Miller 162, so 50 some odd votes. And this just in, they are calling a recount in State Representative District 66. They have got, the Secretary of State's website has got all 100% of the 27 precincts in. And right now, Leanne Gandy has won that seat with 999 votes, but Dan Lewis with 989 votes. And so the Secretary of State's website has flagged that as a possible recount. I would be willing to bet we see a recount in that race. But if that number holds, it would appear that Leanne Gandy has taken a very small piece of District 66 and turned it into a seat in Santa Fe.
Yeah, definitely looks that way. Well, a lot to celebrate. Gallegos with, again, remains to be seen what happens for sure with all of that. But Gandy, Gallegos, this is, I think this is good news for Lee County in terms of voices and representation.
at the higher levels of government.
Well, I think so. And David has actually widened his lead now in the lieutenant governor race to over 10,000 votes. It's around 12,000 votes now.
Wow.
I'm not sure any of the major networks have called it, but I would think those numbers would probably hold for Senator Gallegos. And I have a feeling he will be the lieutenant governor candidate come November. So congratulations to him.
And I also would just kind of go out on a limb and just say in my feelings and my dealings with Senator Gallegos and looking politically at the rest of the state, that he also has a good chance of carrying some of the more conservative Democrats, with him when it comes to the general election. That it's very possible he's the type of candidate that could make a good run for governor, and in a heavily Democratic state. I think that Senator Gallegos, he certainly holds some very tried and true, strong Republican values on issues, but he works across the aisle very well legislatively, and because of that, he courts, some of the, a lot of the undecided or declined to state votes, and so he may very well make a good candidate for not just lieutenant governor, but if he chooses to continue that, maybe for governor one day. We'll see.
Very possible. So the numbers are in and the votes have been tallied. So Ty, friend, some final thoughts as we get ready to wrap up the primary edition of Election Central.
Matt, actually, maybe a question for Don. I noticed the Secretary of State website said that statewide turnout was 19.83%, and it looks like Lea County at 23%. Is that true that we did beat the state in terms of percentage, or are these numbers going to be updated, do you think, or 19 for the state, about 23 for the Lea County?
And see, the last numbers I got from the clerk are right at 15%. So we'll see. I mean, that may very well be accurate. More up to date number there. So sorry, Don, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I think what you said is true. I'm sorry. I was talking to the folks at the Lea County clerks, and they're ready to
throw you out.
Yeah,
so.
I think as soon as I can get ready. And so my attention was a little scattered. I apologize, Ty, and I didn't hear quite all of that. But I think that the numbers are probably going to change a little bit and settle out. But it could it be? It certainly looks like it might. It certainly might turn out that way. We'll see.
All right. Well, Dawn Morgan at the Lea County Courthouse. I know they're getting ready to throw you out, so we'll let you get packed up, be safe. We've got weather coming in. We are under a flood watch, and they have issued a special weather statement. We'll keep an eye on that. So good job there at the courthouse, Dawn. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and thanks again to the Lea County Clerk's office for their help, to the assessor's office for letting me camp out in here, and to the folks who came in and back and forth and brought me paperwork communicated. It's a good experience as always up here. So we always appreciate that support, and look forward to coming back for the general.
All right, very good. Of course, that'll be in November. Thank you very much, Dawn Morgan, as part of Election Central at the Lea County Courthouse. So some interesting numbers. Ty, final thoughts from where you sit?
Well, it's nice to see a lot of candidates running here in Lea County. The Republicans mostly fill up the ballot as usual. They are the dominant party here in Lea County. But again, whenever you see people get to the polls, whether it be early or on this very special day on this Tuesday, again, it's part of our right as a citizen, no matter what party or non-party we belong to, is to speak up. And you said this earlier in the program: if you don't vote, what?
Don't complain.
That's all I got to say.
Very good. And with that, we will put a wrap on the primary edition of Election Central 2026. Tonight's coverage has been brought to you by Pizza Inn, Kinsey Plumbing, IPS Incorporated, and J&J Rentals. Also brought to you by Master Plumbers, the Lea County Clerk's Office, David Witten, State Farm Insurance, Moreno Premier Roofing, and Lasco Construction. For our intrepid general manager, Aaron Forrester, keeping an eye and an ear on things, helping us out tonight. For Dawn Morgan at the Lea County Courthouse, for Ty Friend, I'm TJ Miracles signing off from Election Central. This has been an exclusive presentation of Z94 KZOR and Noalmark Broadcasting News. Thank you, everyone, and have a fantastic